I do want to have existential conversations. I want to have philosophical conversations, but I'm not an educator. I'm also not an atheist, but I don't yield to bad ideas. So that's kind of the idea. That's kind of the premise. My goal really is to see what other people think on this topic and be kind of a butthead about it. That's kind of my shtick. It's why is someone giving me the answer? Why should I believe someone's answer on this question? But this is relevant to me personally because I am a deconstructed former Christian, lifelong, and I have just heard so many answers that at this point, the whole conversation becomes a little bit meaningless. So I'm left sort of in a perma-skeptic mode. And so I'm just a curious guy. I've embraced it. I want to know what people think. I want to know why someone would even offer an answer to this question and why they believe it. I suspect that most people who have reasons to even answer this question are indoctrinated. And I don't mean that to be condescending. I just think that that's genuinely true. That people have just been taught the answer to these questions as sort of thought-terminating answers since their youth, and that is what sticks with people for most of their life. I think that's true for me in a lot of ways too, so I'm really challenging myself by switching from participating in these conversations, because usually I'm a chat rat. I'm pretty aggressive in chat, because when I hear someone supporting nonsense, I like to make fun of them, because I think that's inspired by Alan Watts, who Alan Watts said that if we have a request to join, I'm going to go ahead and accept this requester to join, but I'm going to finish my thought. Hello.
Howdy.
Hey, are you 18 plus?
Yep.
Nice. All right. Let me just finish my thought. I was just saying why I like these conversations and why I usually behave somewhat badly in other kind of debate spaces is because I like Alan Watts, and he said that if you lead someone to the edge of their insanity, then they can see it for themselves. So that's really the kind of conversations I like to host. So what motivated you to come up, and do you have an answer to why is there something rather than nothing?
I don't. Oh, there's a bad echo.
Is that on my end? I hope not. I'm moving my mic away from the computer. That might be on my end. Is that better?
Let's see. No.
No, I have a headset too. Let me take just a second here and switch to my headset. This should be pretty easy. This worked the other day. Are you a theist? Give me a sort of a spoiler alert on what kind of your angle is going to be.
No, I'm agnostic.
I just connected my Bluetooth, so this should be better, but I did miss your answer to that question. Can you say that again?
Yeah, I'm agnostic.
Oh, you're agnostic. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've solved the audio problem. Is this better?
Yeah, I can't hear myself anymore.
Perfect. Okay. So if you're agnostic, what is your angle to this? How would you answer this question, or even begin to answer why there's something rather than nothing?
Well, I don't know if I have an answer to why there is something, but I do think that we live in an eternal universe.
Oh.
So I don't think that there was ever a time where there was nothing.
Yeah,
So,
well, I think that's kind of true analytically, right? Because of what something might be. Something would be, actually, this is funny. I like that you said that, because I think this is the same problem I run into with theists as well, because they'll answer God, but then that's also something. So time would be something. And so I don't mind the idea of an eternal universe.
yeah.
How would you say that, how would you reconcile the idea of the Big Bang? I know that most people would say the survey is that physicists don't think that it is the start, but then, not having information before kind of begs that question.
Well, I actually believe in the cyclic model, which just says that the Big Bang is just repeating over and over again.
Oh, okay. So would you say that's like the Big Crunch kind of thing? Big Bang, Big
Yes.
Crunch kind
Yes,
of cycle.
exactly.
Is that still a model that's accepted? I know in that
I don't
kind of
know.
space, James Webb kind of changed a little bit of how people understand that, but I don't really know where
Yeah.
science ended up.
I haven't read recently on the cosmological models, so it could have changed. If then, I'm okay with saying I don't know.
What about how do you answer to entropy? I'm curious because when I looked into, I liked the cyclical model too. Honestly, that was my preferred model forever. It just seemed to make sense. But then I started to look into what entropy actually is, and it's the increase of complexity over time. And right now, physicists are saying that the crunch and expansion cyclical model doesn't actually reset entropy, and that for some reason entropy will persist through a cyclical model, which means that it will become right. It kind of confused me. It actually shook my sort of confidence in the cyclical model, because what that would imply to me is that it will become less and less likely each cycle to have anything form at all if entropy increases, because entropy is the increase in chaos. So then chaos is, at a certain point will prevent things from forming.
Well, I'll take this opportunity to talk out of my ass.
Yeah, go for
and
it.
say that I'm very skeptical on a lot of things. I don't really believe that gravity exists or time or
for goodness.
stuff like that. So I don't know if entropy exists to me. And
how do you justify gravity not existing? What does that mean to you?
Well, I think that there's things that have these causal powers, and those pull in other things. But I don't think that there's this property called gravity.
Right.
So it's it's a bit weaker of a claim.
Do you think that's consistent though with Einstein's theory of relativity, being that gravity is just the word for the effect of this idea of what you're saying, where things do kind of have causal kind of pulling power?
Yeah, that's basically my view.
Yeah, I think that's if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the physicist kind of leading view. Is that not the case?
Yeah, I'm not a physicist, so I can't really speak too strongly on it. But but if that's the case, it might be that entropy functions in the same way. That is the causal powers of the objects in the universe, and if that's the case, then I don't really know how entropy could persist through the Big Crunch and Big Bang, because it seems like objects would reset in some way.
That was my thought too, and I have to say I don't think I have much to contribute on the entropy topic either, except just to express my confusion, because my understanding is that the crunch would be a reset. But if physicists, and this is an argument I've heard in debate spaces between atheists or rather science physicists, if you know Dr. Blitz, and theists and them, where theists will bring up that entropy does persist through a crunch model. And that's when I looked into it, and that seemed to be true. Oh, someone just sent me a chili. A gift. Thanks. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. So then I looked into it, and just my initial 5 minutes of research sort of confirmed that is generally accepted, although I don't quite understand it.
That's interesting. I mean, it still seems compatible with the cyclic model in some way. Maybe we just don't have enough information.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I did just get back with food, so I got to run.
And a rose, thanks. That's fine. Well, give me a follow. I'd love, I like just chatty conversations. I'm not super at debate space, so this is kind of what I'm looking for. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, Common Ground, for the stuff and the rose. This is great. This is let me just say, this is my third time being live. I can kick you if you want, if you don't know how to hit the button. I don't necessarily know how to do that, but I can do that. But you're still on if you don't know. Okay, I'll kick you. I don't want you to be on against your will. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So this is I think my third time being live ever. If you're someone who has been in the debate space of TikTok, whether it be on the atheist side or science side or whatever, then I've been in the chat, in the comments, and I think I'm competing with some of my favorite streamers right now, but I wasn't really enjoying their conversations. And I wanted to be able to host my own spaces that maybe had a bit of a more positive energy, a bit more conversational, because I'm not an expert on these topics. So I actually have notes open on my screen. I've prepared a whole bunch of talking points and just kind of questions. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. The space is fun on TikTok, but I'm not trying to be an educator. My angle, if you're interested, is actually Igtheism, which is a term I think is way underutilized. I'm just going to put it in the chat just because Igtheism. I'm putting it in the chat just to have it written out for you guys. Igtheism isn't necessarily a worldview. Oh, nice. Yeah. Igtheism is just an acknowledgement that most people... we're getting someone spamming. I can see your message. You don't have to say it a bunch of times. But you can come up if you want. Igtheism is just... I don't like that, but I'm not going to bother. It's okay. That the terms aren't well defined. That there are certain terms that are just not useful in conversation because they really do mean something different to everybody. Yeah. Well, he stopped, so that's okay. I'm not going to be like super moderating of the chat unless he stops me from seeing what other people are saying. But for the best example is the word God, because if someone says God is the answer, then I don't know if that even is an answer, because and this is where Igtheism comes in. Igtheism would remind you that this word isn't super well defined. Like, what is the definition of the word God? At the end of the day, it depends on who you ask. And then there are terms that are commonly used in like existential conversations, physics conversations, theological conversations, or even philosophy, where I don't know what they mean. And some of them are actually really simple, like necessary. The word necessary, and this is creator of the universe. So I would say that, yeah, so the definition of the word God being creator of the universe is just one answer. Like not everyone who believes in God, not everyone who would answer the question with God actually does mean that. So in debate spaces or formal philosophy or discussion, definitions are not truth apt, which means that there isn't a true definition of any word. As long as you agree on the term, then you can use it in the conversation. So if the answer is God or something like necessary being, which I know is the foundation of a lot of theology, kind of one step behind the word God is necessary or necessary being, then colloquially, in common language, I might say something is necessary to imply something obvious. Like it obviously means that there isn't what I need without that. Like whatever the thing isn't without that thing, which makes the thing necessary. So I know that was kind of an abstract way to say this, but I mean, like if the universe is dependent or contingent, these kinds of terms, these are all things where I would say, as someone who does practice Igtheism, and that's the point of these conversations, is to practice Igtheism, is just let's define that. Let's not use fancy words. Let's say what we mean, and then we can have that conversation. And I think that's a really awesome starting point for a lot of these cool conversations, especially if we're going to talk about physics. I like science a lot, but I'm just like an armchair kind of casually educated science person. I didn't go to school I went to school for psychology. So I am formally educated on psychology, but that doesn't answer a lot of interesting questions about like why there's something rather than nothing. So if the answer is going to be something about physics, I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm going to be more of an audience member, and I'm going to be asking clarification. Which, fun fact, in a debate space, like a debate style conversation, if somebody asks for clarification, it's accepted that you have to stop and give that clarification. You're allowed to interrupt someone monologuing or delivering some kind of compound explanation and stop what would otherwise be a gish gallop by saying, hold on, I need clarification on that. That's an igtheistic practice. And as someone who was raised in a very dogmatic worldview with very specific answers to questions like the nature of the universe. Oh, it does. It really makes people mad. I agree. I've seen it really piss people off. But that's not fair, because some people are trained in the conversation style for the sake of things like gotchas or for the sake of winning on a point. And that's just not fun for me as an audience member, really. The setup on the screen, that's my computer. What you're watching on the screen is the inside of my computer. Oh, thanks, Tiny Science. I watch your stuff all the time, actually. I really enjoy your lives, too. Tiny Science is in the chat, so if you guys want to follow someone interesting, I really enjoy his conversations. He's fun to watch host. Did I know what vibration means? Yeah, vibration. Vibration is another one of those terms like, well, what do you mean? Because okay, confession. Tiny is pretty cool. Yeah, Tiny's pretty cool. Tiny's funny. You're funny, Danny. Tiny. Vibration is fun. I'm kind of new age. Unfortunately, I needed sort of the new age kind of mindfulness movement as I was deconstructing my childhood worldview and sort of maturing out of it. And so I did enter the mindfulness, sort of meditate your way into wellness kind of space. And so vibration is something else there than it is if you're talking about what someone like Nikola Tesla was talking about, or Einstein. All these people talk about vibration, energy. They talk about it. They mean something totally different than someone who sits on a pillow trying to manage their cortisol. Or someone who enjoys like music festivals. But yeah, what vibration means, that's interesting. I really would like, if any of you did want to come up and sort of maybe offer, if you have favorite answers for this. This isn't a debate space, but I am going to challenge. Like, I think it's fun to just kind of be challenged on hosting conversations I consider igtheist conversations. And I really think that the TikTok conversation space can benefit from understanding igtheism. And not that it's like a solid worldview. It's just, I guess it is a worldview. I can call it a worldview, but it's the worldview that says that you have to define your terms before I can talk to you. That you have to tell me what you mean before I can accept your claim. It's sort of the formal worldview of, of why should I believe you? That's the formal worldview of igtheism. Igtheism asks, what do you mean? What do you mean by that word? Because if we're talking especially about existential things like why is there something rather than nothing, which of course is the foundation of most of philosophy, including metaphysics and theology and physics. That's the question behind all of that. That the no answer is going to matter unless you can, a framework of thought or a tool. Yeah, it's a framework of thought or a tool. I'm willing to even call it a worldview. I don't see it presented that way, but I think it is. I think igtheism functions as a worldview. It's kind of the skeptic's worldview. I did know what you mean. You consider it, yeah. I do consider it a worldview. It's sort of my worldview. It's the motivation behind skepticism and agnosticism. I wouldn't say agnosticism. Actually, I take that back. I'm not really sympathetic to agnosticism. Agnosticism seems like a kind of a I gave up and I'm not going to ask anymore kind of worldview, which is not igtheism. Are you familiar with eliminativism? I'm not formally familiar. I would love to hear about it, but I'm assuming it has something to do with eliminating. Maybe that's like deductive argumentation. Is that, am I close? I can look it up, but I feel like that might be what you mean. I'm going to confess, I am multitasking, but I'm doing such a good job. I'm really proud of myself. Because I had to take that phone call, but thank goodness it was a butt dial. She hung up on me and then she texted me. She's like, sorry, didn't mean to call you. But I'm not a great multitasker, so if I'm going silent, it's because I am doing that. But I am here. It's the step further from Igtheism. I'm in a limited is about folk psychology. Ooh, folk psychology. I've never heard that phrase, folk psychology, but I love it because I have recently become so frustrated with psychology. It's what I went to school for. I wanted to be I was going to be a marriage and family therapist. That was the trajectory, but I got into sales and marketing as someone educated in psychology. So I think that was probably really toxic of me, but it ended up being perfectly applicable. But if I were to assume what you meant by folk psychology, I think to me, folk psychology would be like people assuming like cultural kind of psychological definitions, cultural psychological prescriptions. But the DSMs, the iterations, I think we're on 5 or 6 right now, which is the sort of the glossary index handbook for psychologists, practicing psychologists. Am I right? Was that what you meant? And it has become totally nonsense after years of being used for insurance billing. And also they conceded on certain concepts because of politics and culture, which I think is really counterproductive because it was meant to be able to identify behavior patterns and thought processes that for the purpose of being able to address them and even change them. The mission statement of psychology, when I was in school at least, was to understand, predict, and control behavior. So back then it was sort of dominated by cognitive behavioral therapy. Why does zero exist? And then that's a good question. And then people started to document psychological conditions. There were lots of experiments that were published. The early experiments to identify psychological conditions were super controversial because they were traumatizing children. And you can watch footage of the famous one is they were making kids, they were seeing if they were able to make children afraid of things like bunnies and marshmallows, which they were successful at doing, and you can watch the footage and it's scary. Evolutionary psychology is picking up. Yeah, I just think as soon as I noticed that the field was changing so much, I really lost a lot of faith in it. I'm like, oh, okay, they're not sure. So I backed off, and I think, I don't, if they're not sure, then I'm not going to be sure. Why does zero exist? I actually like that question, John Thundercock. What a name you've got. What a name you've got. I think zero exists because it was necessary linguistically. That's a funny question. You can fact check me on this, and I might be wrong, but there was for most of mathematical history, zero was not a number being used. It just wasn't used in math up until a certain point when it was added pragmatically. But I think there's a lot of controversy around if. Hello, Village Atheist Streamer. I'm going to say I'm not an atheist. I reject the title, but I understand why I could be described that way. So it's possible I could be, unfortunately, labeled that way, depending on how you define atheism. But yeah, zero came into. Oh, you're requesting up. Yeah, let's do it. I'm not a debater, though, Darth. Let's do it, though. I'm going to have you. Oh, you can. Hold on. How do I do this? I'm new to this, so I have to bring up the screen to accept you. Okay. All right.
Okay,
I got you.
Okay,
how's it going?
So you are claiming you're not an atheist, is that correct?
Well, you can certainly say I'm not justified in claiming that because I'm just I'm rejecting the title.
I don't want you to characterize what I think. I want you to answer the question.
I don't identify that way.
Are you telling me you're okay? So you're not an atheist, is that correct?
Not by personal identification, no.
Okay, so the standard definition of atheism in the English language, in a complete cross-section of published dictionaries, as opposed to some individual online-only dictionaries, and including philosophical dictionaries and encyclopedia. The standard definition of atheism is the denial of God or gods. Okay? Now,
Right.
lack of belief is a non-standard definition.
Okay. Okay.
So when you tell me you're not an atheist, are you saying you're not what the standard definition says, that you don't invoke that there's no God or gods?
I don't qualify for either of those definitions. I don't deny God's. Right.
Okay. So which God do you believe in?
I think it would be acceptable to say that I believe in the unnamed God. I think that's sort of an acceptable concept in theology, but you can challenge me on that.
That's you're giving me a non-informative answer. So if I ask you which God you believe in, I'm asking you for specification.
Well, okay. I believe in...
Because if you don't give me specification, then you would be a deist.
I think I could be considered a deist.
Okay, so then deism is worthless. It's the poor...
Yes.
It's the poor man atheist's resort. Okay, so
yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Okay, so deism, and by the way, I appreciate your cordiality.
Yeah.
So a deist asserts or affirms there is a creator, but the qualification for deism is that creator does not engage in revelation or providential intervention. Okay?
Okay.
But if you're going to invoke a God who doesn't engage in providential intervention or revelation of himself, then invoking that God is irrational.
Can I ask you what you mean by providential?
It means that God would intercede in some ways in human affairs or human history.
What if... Would it count if... I guess it would count as revelatory. I don't mind the idea that a God could be revelatory, but I think I wouldn't accept that a God...
Is your God
would
revelatory?
Intervene.
Is your God revelatory?
I would say yeah. I would say yes.
Okay, good. How has he revealed himself?
Personally.
Another non-informative explanation.
Well, when I say that, I mean that any interaction that I think a God, at least the God I would accept, would be individual, one-on-one through the personal, subjective human experience, mostly like in the mind or through things that Carl Jung might say synchronicity.
Well, Jung was an occultist.
Correct, and so am I. Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, and he also admitted that he was guided by a spirit guide, Philemon.
Yeah, Philemon was a thought form, kind of like a tulpa that he developed over time. But yes, I know what you mean.
So he said, but it was a spirit guide that came to him.
I accept that. I would say I resonate a lot with Carl Jung.
Okay, well, that's too bad. Because Carl Jung is awaiting Judgment Day right now.
Wow.
And
that's a claim.
I mean, although it is, and I can back that up. But
let's do that.
But
let's go.
This is not to suggest that Carl Jung was a stupid guy. He was a really smart guy, and he came up with really colorful and interesting concepts that are even enshrined in psychological texts. Tests. Have you ever heard of the Myers-Briggs temperament analysis?
Yes. Yeah, he was a psychoanalyst.
Yeah, that was based upon his notion of certain temperaments.
Yes.
But I digress. So
that's okay.
If you don't affirm that there is a God and who reveals himself in a way that we can know it, then
I think I do. In the same way that Carl Jung, and let me say why, because I have a similar history to Carl Jung. I was never a practicing psychologist, but I did go to school for that. After school, after college, I went into sales and marketing, so I used my powers for evil. But that was my background and my interest.
Why is sales and marketing evil?
Well, just influencing consumer behavior is not always I mean, using psychology to do that, I would say it's a little manipulative. It's not my, it's not always morally upstanding.
I could see if you said that there are certain things that are unethical, but evil.
Right. That's, oh, okay. Yeah. No, thanks for challenging me on that term. I would say I don't do anything unethical. I've never really done that. So maybe I can walk that back.
So here's the problem. Okay.
Yeah.
What has your so then you are rejecting that the God who is the triune God of the Christian scriptures, who putatively has revealed himself in creation clearly and rationally undeniably, and revealed himself through the prophets and ultimately in Jesus Christ. So you are denying that God.
I would deny that God, yeah.
Okay. Now, in order to falsify that God, you're going to have to present a model of reality with a final referent that functions as the negation or the negator for the Christian God and the Christian worldview. Can you do that?
I would concede that I'm not sure how a God like that could be falsified. I just reject him. And so what I was talking about
No. The Christian God cannot be falsified, and that is not a vice. That's a virtue.
Well, I think that's a failure of the view.
No, not at all. You're not understanding it. So what you're doing is you're applying the falsification criterion universally. Okay? Are you aware of that?
I know what you're saying, but I'm not sure how I am.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the falsification criterion is that in order for a proposition or propositions to be considered to be true or meaningful, they must be in principle falsifiable. Okay. Is that your position?
I would say that's my position, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a performative contradiction, because when you use it universally, it means that no proposition can be considered absolute and unfalsifiable. Therefore, falsification itself as a practice becomes impossible, because there's no final objective referent that functions as the ultimate reference of verification.
I'm going to ask you for clarification on that, but just hold on one second, Darth. Someone's requesting up. I'm not going to do multiple guests. I'm not sure if I can handle that psychologically, but if you want to come up, you're just queued up for next time. I'm just telling the person in the requests.
All I can tell you is I attract a lot of trolls and stalkers, and they do this to interfere.
Right.
With
I don't want
that
that.
I'm talking with, especially you, because you're bending over backwards to be. We're disagreeing on things, but you're presenting yourself, and I'm not brown nosing. You're trying to be intelligent, you're trying to be thoughtful, and you're demonstrating character in class.
I appreciate that.
They don't like that. Okay. Yeah. Well, I deal with so many kooks on TikTok. When I meet somebody who's demonstrating some character, I like to compliment. Do that.
Yeah, actually, we've spoken before, you and I, Darth, on my other usernames. So I have had a couple of really positive conversations with you. I know that some people have a soured relationship because it's hard to have conversations with people who have strict standards for conversation. So I'm just with that being said, I do want to know what you're talking about with falsification, because it's possible I don't know, but to me, if something is not falsifiable. Go ahead.
I'll try not to be long-winded. So the falsification principle is a historical permutation of verificationism. Verificationism was launched in the early to middle part of the 20th century by people such as A.J. Ayer. He was famous for writing a book, Language, Meaning, and I think it was Truth, if I'm not mistaken. And he said that the things that are to be considered to be true or meaningful must either be analytically true by definition, or they must be verified by sense perception. Well, that verification principle got annihilated almost universally by philosophers because it was a performative contradiction. It's self-referential and contradicts itself. But nonetheless, it morphed into what is called falsificationism, which Karl Popper applied this principle for the demarcation of science. But other people have tried to apply the falsification principle metaphysically rather than just a demarcation for what's science or not science. So the falsification principle is very similar to the verification principle in that it says in order for something to be considered to be true or meaningful, it must be in principle falsifiable, which means it's not necessarily true.
Let me
Okay.
see if I
It
can.
might be true, but not necessarily.
Let me see if I understand what you're saying. So you're saying for something, maybe if I misunderstood you, to be true, it has to be falsifiable?
No, the falsification principle says in order to accept something as intelligible, meaningful, or to reckon it to be true, it must be in principle falsifiable.
So doesn't that support my position? That if something
No.
is... okay.
No, because the falsification principle itself, upon examination, is self-refuting. So if all propositions
Oh, wait, I missed
must
that. So falsification principle is self-defeating. Explain that to me.
when applied universally. So if we say to each other that for some things, in order for me to accept it, it must be in principle to be falsifiable, that's one thing. But when it is applied as a universal criterion, it's self-referential and contradicts itself.
How does it do that?
Because, okay, so let's take God as the single causal first principle, and then we have his creation, and we apply the falsification to God, and God would be characterized of, let's say, as ultimate or the absolute. So in that scenario, God could not be falsified. Okay.
Why?
So
Wait.
Without
How come? Because if I'm
Why?
not
Because-
granting God, how come he's not false? How come he's...
Okay.
Go ahead.
God being eternal, unconditionally non-dependent, non-derivative, he would be characteristically non-contingent, and he would function as the single causal ground of all being, that it actualizes all contingent states. So therefore, God's existence characteristically would be defined as being absolute, meaning it can't be falsified. It cannot not be true.
So
Okay,
since
now-
so let's
but
back
you
away a
see,
little bit,
God
because
God would be the ultimate referent for verification. If there is no ultimate ontological referent for verification, then you cannot have falsification.
Is this true?
Falsification requires this goes back to the law of identity and law of non-contradiction. So the law of identity is A equals A. The law of non-contradiction says A cannot equal not A. So the law of identity can be similar or related to the principle of verification. Okay, something is what it is. The law of non-contradiction would be reflective of the falsification principle, that A cannot equal not A. Now,
Okay.
in order for the law of non-contradiction, which is what the falsification principle depends upon, in order for it to be true, it must be preceded or undergirded by the law of identity, which I said is analogous to the.
That's
the
fine. I can grant
that.
all of the logical
so
rules.
without the law of identity, you can't have the law of non-contradiction. So
I'll grant all of the
so-
three logical rules.
Okay, so
that's fine.
by analogy, okay, the law of identity would be a type of verification. Okay, that something is what it is. Okay,
Sure.
and so in order, verification of some propositional truth will be required as a precondition to falsify something. If you don't have a precondition of that which is verifiable or a true identity state, then you can't have falsification.
So I'm gonna have. Can I pause you real quick, because I am
Yes.
I'm not used to this kind of language, like the really specific theological philosophy language. So can you? So if my contention is
Look how
that
your viewership jumped to 31.
I know. I appreciate that. Look at all the conversation. This is great. This is only my third time being live, by the way. I really appreciate the support and engagement. So I'm sure you being here is the reason for this. I appreciate that. So, but getting back to the language, I am a little lost when you talk like that, because just only simply on my end, I'm not used to it.
Okay,
but
then
that's
stop me at any time and ask me to explain something.
well,
that
what
is
I
not
what I
clear
would
to you,
love
okay?
what I would love for you to kind of hyper focus on is where, if I say, and this is the reason why we started this topic, is because I was saying I don't or I do reject the triune God because, well, in part because it seems unfalsifiable. So that was my personal stance, and then you're challenging that, and I'm still not totally sure.
Your worldview. Okay, so here's the problem.
Oh, I appreciate
Outside
that.
of the Christian worldview, okay, so the falsification principle says that all true propositions are going to have to be in principle falsifiable, meaning that in some scenario,
Thank you.
that at least some scenario would falsify it as not being true, which would mean that the proposition in question is not necessarily true in all possible worlds. Okay? Now,
can you explain? Could you go a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so if something is in principle falsifiable, it means in some possible situation or some possible world, there is a state of affairs that would falsify it.
Right. Okay. I do. True. Yeah. I would accept it. That would be what I would understand as falsification. Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. No, but here's the problem. But then, if there is nothing that is deemed to be absolute and universally absolute, true in all possible situations and all possible worlds, then you're not going to have a final referent to falsify. So think of the final referent as the ultimate identity state.
But how come we need something
contingent?
Why do we have to go back so far to have ultimate like that? If I can falsify something with one fact, then that should be sufficient to completely falsify it.
No,
right?
No, because you're going to. There's a problem called underdetermination, or the Doom-Quine thesis, that says that when you, and this is something that comes out of the world of science, but it crosses over into metaphysics. So Quine talked about the idea of the problem of underdetermination, that when you bring a proposition to falsify another proposition, you present not A to falsify A. Not A itself will be supported by a number of auxiliary hypotheses or premises.
I don't want to get lost in your I don't want to get lost in your explanation. Okay. If you can use more colloquial language, I know that's a huge ask, but I'm not really a philosophy guy. I'm not educated on that.
Okay, so you have a proposition: the sky is blue.
Okay. Yes.
And we'll call that A. The negation of that would be the sky is not blue, not
right.
A.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, in order to falsify the identity state of the sky being blue, is you're going to have to present the identity state of the sky is not blue or not A in order to falsify A.
I think that's fair.
You need to have a proposition that functions as the negation of the first proposition.
I accept that.
The sky is not blue. The sky is not blue falsifies the sky is blue.
Would you say that falsification is necessary for rejection? Because if my position is I reject the triune God, if that's my position, and I can't necessarily falsify it, maybe I can do some labor and then come up with a falsification. But if I can't, would my rejection still be justified? Because I think it is.
I'm not clear what you're saying. A rejection of a proposition will either be rational or irrational.
Okay, I would.
In order for the rejection to be rational, to reject something is to invoke a functional or a de facto denial.
Would it be rational to reject something?
Let me just qualify this, okay? Because there are some instances where you cannot accept a proposition where you are truly maintaining neutrality, but that is not true in all cases. So when it comes to God, neutrality is impossible. Okay? So when I'm let me just get back to the
can you justify that? I do want to talk about I want to talk about falsification and justification, but you just made a point. Can you dive? Oh shoot, I'm losing it. You said something specific just then. That didn't seem justified to me. But I think mostly what I want to talk
What
about
did
with
I
you is,
say that you want me to explain?
I don't know how to go back into my stream and see what exactly you said, but it was a claim. It's okay. I think this specifically what I want to talk about with you is if falsification or if rejection is justified without
Okay.
falsification. And I
Okay.
think that
Some forms of rejection are formal denials. Other forms of rejections are informal denials. And
Okay.
some forms of rejections are just simply suspending judgment.
What kind of rejection would it be if I were to say there's no priors that would give me reason to accept the possibility?
If the proposition in question was presented as a non-negotiable,
If
to not accept a non-negotiable would be to deny its necessity. If I do not accept that oxygen and water are necessary to keep me alive, then I'm not suspending judgment. I'm giving a functional denial, because oxygen and water are presented as a non-negotiable necessity.
That's fair, because you have plenty of priors to, prove you otherwise. Yeah.
So,
but if I were to reject a triune being because
let me just explain this to you, okay?
Okay.
So, in order to apply the law of non-contradiction, okay, in order to apply the law of non-contradiction, which would be falsification, you have to have the precursor of a identity statement that functions as that it's a verified state, that the identity statement is true. So without an identity statement that's true, if the identity statement that you're evoking is not necessarily true, then you can't use it to falsify another proposition.
Let's pause on that, because
So
I want to understand
that. If I say to you, the sky is blue, okay? We have the identity statement, the sky is blue. And somebody comes along and they reject that. When they seek to falsify that, they will say, I'm looking at the sky and the sky is not blue. Therefore, because the sky is not blue, this identity statement, and this identity statement is putatively true, from that identity statement, it would then falsify the identity statement that the sky is blue. So it takes an identity statement to falsify another identity statement. Okay?
I would agree. And then
now if all propositions about identity states are subject to the falsification principle, that they have to be in principle falsifiable under certain circumstances, it means that the identity statement is not necessarily true in all possible worlds. And therefore, if that foundational identity statement, remember, it's foundational to everything else.
Okay.
If that foundational identity statement is not necessarily true in all possible worlds, there could be some instances where it's false, then you cannot use that identity statement to falsify anything. So if all propositions must be in principle falsifiable in principle, then that proposition as a foundational identity state can't falsify anything. And so when you the falsification principle, when it applies to all propositions, it means therefore that there is no ultimate proposition that is necessarily true in all possible worlds to verify anything, because in order to falsify a proposition, you need to verify a proposition that functions to negate the second proposition. Okay.
So
if you say the sky is not blue, falsifies that the sky is blue. Well, the
I think I understand what you're saying.
Functions as a negator, but if it's not necessarily true, then you can't falsify the statement that the sky is blue.
Okay, I want to connect this back to why we were talking about this, because I think I'm accepting most of what you're saying right now. But if we get more specific, for example, my position where I'm justified in rejecting a claim that doesn't seem to have priors in my worldview, then how? So I want to connect what you're saying about falsification to just simply the justified rational behavior of rejecting a claim. How would you say we bridge that and get that back to the claim of the triune God?
You can reject a claim either based upon a direct or indirect denial, or that you could legitimately rationally be neutral. But when it comes to that which would be putatively the single ground of being, neutrality toward that is impossible.
But that is a precept, right? I mean, that's assuming, that's kind of begging the question to even propose that.
No, it's not. It's not begging the question. Okay?
Well, because
this is a common criticism. You're not understanding. It's not begging the question because you're committing a category error. Okay?
How so?
Because because if you say, how should I put this to you? If you say that all propositions must hold up to the falsification principle, that it could be falsified in some way, then the proposition in question isn't necessarily true. And if it's not necessarily true as a foundational proposition by which you verify things, okay, then you can't falsify anything. Falsification requires true identity states.
But let's stay on rejection, though. I think that falsification. I think we agree. I think we agree on that, though.
You're not focusing on what I'm presenting to you.
But I think I agree with you. I think I agree with you.
Listen to me carefully.
I know. Hold on, Darth. I want to focus the conversation, though.
Falsification requires that an identity state is verified and could not possibly be false. Because if it's possibly false, then you cannot use it to negate another proposition.
Okay, but I do want to talk about rejection, though. I think that's because I do agree with your criteria of falsification, and it's not so interesting to me because a lot of it is sort of redundant. I do kind of agree with the falsification criteria, but rejection criteria is more interesting to me because my position isn't necessarily atheistic in the sense where I'm saying none of this exists. That's not my claim.
So
my claim would be
you're advocating is neutrality now.
Well, active rejection actually is what I'm advocating for. I would say that it's rational to take an actively rejection.
When you do not accept a proposition that is presented as the non-negotiable necessary precondition for everything. If you do not accept that, that is a functional denial. It's not a formal denial. It's an indirect denial. Okay? Let me ask you this question. Does an atheist who denies the necessity of God, are they rejecting God?
I think it seems like most atheists, it depends on if they are agnostic or gnostic claims, but it depends on their personal claim. I think yes.
No.
Generally, yes, they're rejecting God, I think.
Right. So that when somebody tries to say, I'm rejecting God as the ultimate precondition, I'm rejecting it, but that the rejection, that they're communicating that the rejection does not entail a denial, then they're cashing out the rejection as a suspension of judgment.
Okay, so let's talk about me personally. I do actively deny. I reject at least the specific claims about the nature of this God. I feel like there's a lot of presupposition and assertion in claims
what is your so since you are rejecting and denying the God of Christian theism?
I do reject the God of Christian theism. I think it's incoherent.
Okay.
Which is why I take an igtheist approach. If it can't be clearly defined, then I feel justified in actively rejecting.
The Christian God is clearly defined. Okay.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
No,
I mean,
let me explain something. Okay, listen. The Christian God is defined as the ultimate identity state, the single causal first principle, who is characteristically a mind and an agent and is the sum of all perfections, who then actualizes and sustains the world.
So
There's nothing
that's a lot, though.
incoherent or
But that's a lot because
there's nothing.
that's a
Listen
lot of claims.
carefully. There's nothing incoherent about that characterization.
It is specific, though, right? I mean, you're making specific characteristic claims.
Your problem is you're not focusing on what I'm saying to you.
Well, it's true that I do struggle.
The definition that
You
I
do
gave
say a
you
lot.
is the definition I gave you. I could even truncate it down that God is the single ground of being that is an agent. What's incoherent about that?
Well, that's a lot more simple than what you said earlier. So, but I
Is that
would want to.
incoherent? Is that incoherent?
No, it's not incoherent. I like how you
Okay, now what
simplified
if
that.
I said that God as the single causal first principle that's an agent is perfect?
I think that's
Is that
incoherent
incoherent?
because
How is something being characterized as being perfect incoherent?
it's not the perfect part. I think that's. I could talk about perfect, but it's the causal part. I think both of them.
You
The
just
perfect
said,
part is a little frustrating for
I
me. The
focus
causal
like
part.
a laser beam. You're not
I
focusing.
know, but
You're not well practiced in focusing.
I'm
Okay?
I'm not well practiced in your
I've had
language.
to learn how to focus in conversations and debates over 16 years, okay? You're not focusing on what I'm saying. You said God was incoherent. Now, I gave
No.
you a
I
truncated...
said the claim you originally gave was well. Actually, that's no. I said that
No, there's
the
nothing...
Christian
Okay, all right, look,
concept of God is incoherent.
You got to stop being too verbose, to being too verbose
No,
and
I'm.
listening a little bit more.
Okay. Hold on, wait, 1 second though, because the reason why I said it was incoherent was because I said that the Christian concept of God is incoherent, and I can back that up if you want me to defend that. But then you gave a characterization of the Christian God, and then it included too many
I'm going to
characteristics.
ask you a question. You are claiming, in effect, to be able to rationally predicate in a world without the Christian God, correct?
Well, for sure, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What is your ultimate ontological referent for verification?
I accept the scientific method, and I think that's
No.
generally
Okay,
how
you're
people
not.
behave.
Okay. What you just gave me was a convoluted answer.
No,
Okay.
it just wasn't a philosophical. I don't really like
I'm trying
philosophy.
to explain to you.
Is what's going on.
You literally don't understand what I'm saying to you. Okay.
Well, let's go. We can go slower, and I'll let you unpack.
The scientific method has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay. Now,
Well, I think it was an answer to your question.
Listen carefully. When you reject the Christian worldview, when you reject the God of Christianity, you are in effect rejecting the Christian worldview. Okay? You understand that before I continue? You are denying the actuality of the Christian God who represents the Christian worldview. You are denying that that is not true.
I deny the concept because I think it's incoherent. But let me pause on that because I have made that claim a couple. Let me justify why I think that.
No, I'm about to leave because you're too much of a motor mouth, and you are either purposely or inadvertently not focusing.
I'm just not letting you go past something I want clarification on.
No, I'm done because you are.
Well, come back again. Come back again.
Okay. No,
come back
you
again.
are not focusing, and you're just rambling, and
Darth,
your mind isn't focused.
I'm asking you for clarification. That's
I'm okay.
reasonable.
No, I'm done with you. I have attempted to methodically.
It's okay. Come back again. I don't mind the conversation.
Notice how you keep on interrupting me.
You're giving an exit speech.
All right. Okay. You don't have the acquired habit of being able to focus with clarity.
That's probably true. I'm new to this. I'm new.
And you're rambling in a very verbose style.
I'm not rambling. I'm trying to hold you to things you're saying. I'm trying to slow you. Okay, that's okay.
You and I are operating at two different levels. You're
that's
not
true.
capable of having this conversation.
That's
okay?
also probably true.
Have a nice day.
You as well. That's okay. I don't mind that. That did stress me out. I really enjoyed the chat. You guys are really on top of this, and I'm sure that if someone wants to come up, I have a couple of requests. I'm going to let you guys up just to kind of have a recap, but I do want to talk about how that went. I'm going to let you guys all up, but let's not have a debate. I'm going to let you guys all up, but let me kind of hold on. I'm just clicking all these buttons. I don't know all of you guys, but some of you I do. Michael, I've not heard your name before. So let me say what I was trying to do there, because I respect these conversations and I get stressed out. I'm new to this, and I want to know what he's saying. I want to know what's being said, because if I don't, then I can't let him gish gallop if I don't get clarification. So I do feel like I'm justified in asking that. But thanks, guys, for coming up. Are you guys are all 18 plus, right?
Yes, 50 for TikTok purposes.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks, guys, for coming up and being chatty in my comments. I did
Just
struggle
wanted
with.
to talk to you. Yeah, that guy
Yeah,
was like a total narcissist.
Can I be real quick? Because I'm about to put my
Yes.
kids to bed. I promise I will be
That's
really
okay.
quick.
Yeah, go ahead, JP.
First off, host, breathe. You handled that magnificently.
Yeah,
I am
that's
proud
good.
of you for being a new host. Number two,
real.
the problem is you brought up Darth to speak as an expert when he's an expert in nothing.
Well, I knew he
Okay.
would be a challenge. I've spoken to him before, and I wanted the challenge. It
Yeah.
it was.
See, the problem is that every time you said, hey, let's clarify something, it became, well, you just don't understand.
Yeah, I
Okay,
thought that was
let's
not
deep
fair.
Dive this topic. No. We're going to go around this way so I can control your narrative.
Yeah.
All right. I'm new to
Well, I hope
life
he
as
comes
well.
back.
I have a little travel channel that me and my wife kind of tinker around with a little bit just for fun. But one thing that we realize first and foremost is that our live is our house and we control the narrative, not other people. So I think you handled that great. I think you talk a little bit too long, but that's your prerogative. I understand. But hey, bro,
Yeah.
keep it up. I'm proud
Thanks.
of you. Fight the good fight, and
don't
I'm going to
think
start
you talk
following
too
you.
long.
You guys have a good night.
I appreciate that, JP. Thanks for coming up. And Lady, you are up next.
I
What
think
are
you
your
are
thoughts?
a very intelligent person who articulates yourself very well. I had a
thanks.
different topic to bring up, but you can finish recapping this, and then we
All
can
right.
continue. Just-
Just decompressing from so I think where it derailed was I was trying to challenge him on his notion of the triune God being rejectable, but he didn't want to talk about rejecting claims. He wanted to talk about falsification, which I was trying to keep connecting to if it's justifiably rejectable. So that's, I think, where I felt like maybe we missed a little bit on what could have been a better conversation. But also, Tiny Science is up here, which I'm super honored. Tiny, I've been watching your lives for ages. I'm in your chat sometimes. I think you're so funny, and the way you handle guests is just unique. It's your own thing, and I think it's really fun. Thanks for coming up.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to say, Gary, or Darth, sorry, he has been doing this for like 15, 16 years, and not a single time has he ever once justified his position that God, or whatever he calls God, is the ultimate foundation for anything. This is a baseless presupposition. There's literally no evidence for his claim. He claims and claims and claims that this is the case, and he always shifts the burden. He never, ever, a single time justifies his claim. It's never happened. In the entire career of him being online and debating with people, not a single time has this happened. He is a master at burden shifting and forcing atheists to answer a question he himself has not a single time answered. He begs the question that there has to be some sort of ultimate grounding for everything, while he himself, again, cannot provide this ultimate grounding. It is a consistent burden shift and a red herring into the conversation. He's making a baseless claim that he can't support.
Yeah,
And
I think he's still here. So I do want to say that I do want to hear what he says and why he says it. So if he wants to come back, I will let him up another day. I do need to probably recoup a little bit, but I want him to come up and I want to hear him out. But what I want to do and why I want to be host of these conversations and maybe be less in the chats of other people's conversations is because I want to understand and I want to hold someone to why are you saying this? Why do you assert this? And is it justified? So
that, by the way,
This
I
is
love the
rooted
spirit
in-
of that. That's why I wanted to come up here and meet you, because that's just great, and that's the same complaint that we have the same complaints about all the people, like the debate people. I hear exactly what you're saying.
yeah, because
That sounds great to me.
it feels like a gish gallop and a preach a little bit. And I don't want to. I'm not here to poop on Darth. If he's still in the chat listening, I'm not pooping on you after the fact of you. Please come back. Please have a great conversation with me. But anybody who wants to come up, and that's why this prompt is here. It's the foundation of all pretty much philosophical thought. And if a claim is made, I want to know why the claim is justified. And a lot of it is because I was raised indoctrinated with certain worldviews. I deconstructed them. And I understand that most people do assert their indoctrinations and then don't know it's not justified until it's deeply explored. So that's why I wanted to host this space.
Absolutely. That's great.
And I struggle with being an atheist. I've been in the atheist chats, being super supportive for like a year and a half, but I have failed to become one. And I think I recognize that a lot of that is because of my personal indoctrinations. But I'm ready to kind of be so genuine that it's possible my mind could change at some point during these conversations. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, being open to the possibility, like, most people think that, like, atheists is, you've already made up your mind, and that's not the case. We're still open and looking for the evidence, but when it comes to people like Darth, that he's not willing to give the evidence.
I hope that's not true. That does seem like the case. I really hope that's that. I don't think that's good integrity, but I don't know. I'm here to listen, you know.
Yeah, if you want to look at Tom Rabbit with 3 T's, RABBITTT on YouTube, he's got an extensive catalog of Darth Dawkins on his videos, and you can see every place he's debated, how he debates, his debating style, and he just does not ever do it in good faith.
Tell me the name.
I wish it wasn't
Tom
true.
Rabbit.
Yeah, with 3 T's, yeah.
I mean, he's like a narcissist, right? Like he seems to me like someone who meets the criteria for narcissism.
Well, I hope not.
That was apparent to me from this small exchange.
This may be too merciful of me, but I do listen to people like Presups and those kinds of argumentations all the time, and I just assume it's performative, and I assume they have reasons for it, and
That's very kind of you.
it might be too kind, and I might be convinced at some point that these people are actually malicious. But in the meantime, I'm not assuming that. I have someone requesting up, Michael. He's been in the guests box for a second. I'm going to let him up. 1 second. Michael, are you? Oh, he's connecting. We'll see how that goes. And then,
hey, Apostate, thank you so much. I'm going to drop down. I appreciate you. Thank you for allowing me. And
thanks for coming up and for giving us that context about him.
Yeah, right on. Thank you, Tiny. Thank you for coming up. And I don't know if that was also a goodbye, lady, but thanks you for coming up. You're welcome to stay.
No, I'm sticking around. I've got
stick around.
To do on a Friday. Yeah, and I just wanted to chat. I had a topic. Maybe we'll come back to it. But
let's say hi to Michael real quick. Michael, are you here and are you 18 plus?
Yes, I'm 18 plus, and I believe I'm here.
All right. Your screen is just black on my end, so I was just making sure. Are you here to answer the question, or do you have thoughts on what we were talking about?
I'm here to answer the question, or at least try to offer a different viewpoint to the question.
Okay.
First, I want to say I've been listening just for a little while. I have been quiet in the comments, but I've been listening for a while. And Apostate, I think I genuinely admire your honesty and humility, and I can really tell that you're just like
the glaze
to learn. Like
yeah, I am.
Exactly. Me too. That's why I came up. Yeah.
I appreciate
that's
that.
Great. It's good to find people who value those things truly. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's getting rarer nowadays, I feel like. But anyway, regarding the question of why is there something rather than nothing, this is something all of humanity has pondered for a while, and I'm also looking for an answer myself. I was attracted to the idea of God simply because, thinking about it, I have to recognize my own limitation for understanding, and recognize that it's not ever going to be possible in my short lifespan, relatively speaking, to understand everything. And so we're all just running around trying to find a solid truth to cling to. That's why
Yeah.
there's so
Do you
many
have a
different-
favorite answer? Do you lean towards anything?
Yeah, I do believe that the Bible is true, and I do think that Jesus was a perfect human being, and I put a lot of thought. I put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah. I'd love to know
but I-
why you think that, or why you've come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't always that way. I've struggled with a lot of questions, but what arrived me there was, I think I have a cultural influence on me for sure, but I was able to disregard that when I decided to read the document for myself.
The Bible?
Yes. The tricky thing about it was I used to be I used to say to myself, let me see it and then I'll believe it. And I used to have a very scientific mindset in that regard. Let me see the evidence, let me see the repeatable experiment, and then I'll believe that that's true. And what I realized when I suspended my disbelief was that if I began to believe it, then I started to see it. And right now where I'm at is, I don't know if that's confirmation bias or not. And also, how would I know if it is?
Would you,
Wait,
well,
what
and let
do
me,
you mean by seeing it? Exactly. Sorry, just
no, go ahead.
yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, so by seeing it as in, scientifically, just an analogy or an example. If you drop a ball on the ground and you pick back up and you drop it again, it's repeatable and
Okay.
consistent.
So
You
like
say,
observation, observing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
The scientific method.
like an observation. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean
Yeah.
Okay.
by seeing. Is yeah. So
Say the greater conundrum again with me understanding that. Do you mind?
Sure. So the conundrum that I'm currently positioned in is, at first I was see it and then I'll believe it. If you drop the ball multiple times and it happens repeatedly, I'll believe that when you drop that ball again, it will fall. And that's see it and then I'll believe it. And what I'm realizing now when I suspend my disbelief of what has yet to be proven, that the way it works with Christianity and believing in God or a higher power is you believe it first and then you observe it.
I think, yeah, let me talk about that for a second, because you did say a second ago, which I think was great. You said maybe this feels like confirmation bias. I think right there, believing first is absolutely, that's a confirmation bias experience. Wouldn't you say? If you had to believe first and then you received confirmation, I think that's perhaps
I don't think
definitively.
it necessarily is confirmation bias, because I think the concept of belief is okay. So I didn't understand belief for a very long time. Just for like some background, some caveat here, I did not understand belief, and I'm like a super divergent person who's like totally weird. But I watched The Polar Express as an adult, like in college, and that's when I understood the concept of belief. And in that movie, it's like he doesn't understand it. It's like in the end, he has this bell, and when he rings the bell, he can hear it, but people who don't believe can't hear it. So it's like belief is a function of generating meaning. So it's like, do you want the things that happen to you to make sense to you, even if it only makes sense in retrospect, even if it's like you've projected a meaning onto it? I mean, why shouldn't you? There's no reason why meaning shouldn't be subjective, why it isn't up to your interpretation. It's your life, right? So it's like, to me, belief is just, it's the ability of like using faith, using this concept of just kind of making something real by saying it's real. It's almost like, when people like fake it till they make it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's a belief. Like that is what belief is ultimately.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like it's not necessarily confirmation bias, because it's like a self-propagating prophecy where it's like, if
I think
you
that's
believe
fair.
it becomes possible.
I think that's fair.
Psychologically speaking, too, I think it's fair to say, and I think most people would agree. Most psychologists would even agree that somebody who believes
Right.
that they can do something has a way better chance to
They're
accomplish
more
it.
likely to do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially people who like recover from cancer, right? Like those are the people who believe that they are going to make it. Like they have faith in something, in themselves, in God, in something. It doesn't matter what the subject of the faith is. What matters is the faith itself, the actual aspect of believing in something that may or may not be possible, because only in believing in it does it become possible, right? So you have to
Right.
believe it. And there's a circular logic to that I don't know how to get rid of. And I'm almost just like, maybe circular logic is valid sometimes. I don't know,
Well,
but
I
I feel like
think
the
that
debate
this
bros I
concept,
follow would not be okay with that.
I think this concept kind of boils down to like motivation to accomplish a goal is one thing, but also whether or not I believe my car is going to turn on when I turn the key, I don't think affects whether it does or not. So if it's a pursuit of accomplishing a goal, I think believing is valuable in the sense that it adds motivation and effort, but also if it's not a variable of like how dedicated I am to my goal, if it's just like turn the car on, it doesn't add to a truth value. Right. So I think it does matter like what question is being asked. If something is true or if something is, I guess, something else like valuable.
Yeah, to on that point, I think something can be true whether or not it's been discovered to be true or not.
Well,
If you
I don't know
know
how
what I'm
we would
saying.
know that. I think that is a fun thing, maybe. I don't know how we would know. I mean, we wouldn't be able to justifiably
Yeah.
make the claim that something is true if we haven't necessarily discovered it's true.
Yeah,
We
I mean,
would be
how
stuck
we
in
know that
believing. Go ahead.
How would we know that the dark side of the moon is real unless we've been there?
Well, that's a good. We have been there.
No, I
Um,
can't buy that. We would know because we know that the moon must be round. So we know that there must
that would
be a
be.
dark side of it.
So we would use induction and deduction to
Inductive reasoning
Yeah.
is it. People
So we-
always forget about that.
right, which would give us a justified reason to believe it. And I think some people would say that truth is a justified true belief is what we're looking for. And I think that the shape of the moon, the features of the moon, specifically as an example, would be justified to believe that the other side of the moon is what it is.
Yeah.
I see your point. And when I was questioning before I became a Christian, I was considering all kinds of different religions and gods and philosophies and things. And the reason why I landed on Christianity was because Jesus was a human being who walked the earth and taught these things, and that's
Interesting.
verifiable. Yeah.
Well, they
Um,
haven't actually verified that exactly. They verified the existence of like other biblical figures like Paul, but they don't actually have a historical record of Jesus. They just presume he existed because people like Paul existed. Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting?
I love, that's, I think Jaron, Christ Before Jesus, runs a show about how all, kind of compiling all the facts of if the man Jesus existed. But I think a more interesting question of if the man, Joshua or Yeshua from wherever in Jerusalem actually did walk the earth and exist, it's kind of a funny question because how many guys were there named that? And is the guy in the story the guy we're talking about? Because the guy in the story did magic or miracles. And then the guy in the story is said to have risen from the dead and then ascended literally from ground to sky in a beam of light. So if we're asking if the man Jesus existed, are we saying that a man did miraculous things, or are we saying that there was a guy with a name in a place? And the only evidence I think we have is, I think Tacitus or Josephus, who say that there were believer groups in a preacher who was believed to have done miraculous things, which I don't think is very remarkable, because if you consider that, you'd have to consider that there were actually many individuals who were claimed to be doing the same thing, preaching and doing miraculous things.
Well, there were actually 14 martyrs who ran against the Roman Empire too. And Jesus, if anything, was just one of those 14 people who ran against it. People who like tried to start cults who could resist the force that was the Roman Empire, and it spread throughout the region.
Yeah, it was a super politically charged time because obviously the Jewish high priest
It was
they
very
were losing power. Right, they were losing power because they were occupied militaristically. I mean,
absolutely.
So there was a lot of rebels and people who were taking advantage of the sort of loss of the power of the Jewish community, and they were trying to start their own little things.
Yeah.
So it was a common story. So I would say,
what if Paul just told a story about it as if the martyr had succeeded when they hadn't, and the martyr had never succeeded, but he just told the story as if they had, and he gave all the credit to Jesus, and that act of humility is the foundation of the Christian religion. That's what I believe.
right?
I believe
Yeah,
that Paul invented this concept of Jesus, and that he told a story about listening because he wanted everyone to listen, and that he didn't care if he got the glory. He wanted some made-up figure, some idealized figure to have the glory. It didn't matter. What mattered is that people started to embody aspects like humility, forgiveness, caring, kindness, right? This is what he wanted. And so I just think that whether or not Jesus existed doesn't even matter. Because if he didn't, we know Paul existed because there's evidence of his house. There's evidence of his house expanding as if he ran a cult that worshipped a figure that was growing. And there's archaeological evidence of that. And I've dug into this so deep. I'm so OCD about this crap. You can rely on that. I've dug into this so deep, and that is the closest we get to historical evidence of Jesus. And I believe in the concept of Jesus, and I go to a church. I'm also a Wiccan elder high priestess, so
Oh my gosh.
open-minded.
I'm a Wiccan, but I don't have a high priestess.
I've
Follow me.
started a tradition called the open-minded path, where it's like the book The Secret Life of Pi, where he's like, I just want to worship God. I just like want everyone to be like happy and healthy and like have a connection with the higher consciousness that like suits them. Like I don't care what path someone's on or what morality they have, as long as they're functional and happy and healthy and all this stuff. But anyway, so I believe in this though. Like I believe in Jesus as a concept. I believe in him as, a greater deity, as someone I can connect to, like, and have a personal relationship with, because I can project onto deity, and that is a thing that I am capable of as an embodied being.
You can create a thought form.
Yes, exactly.
We have someone else in the
believe
guest request. I'm going to bring them up, and I'm going to do an intro real quick, just to see.
Sure.
They've been sitting there for probably about 20 minutes. I just want to see. I just want to kind of respect that they've been sitting there, and then kind of do an intro real fast, and then we can continue the conversation. Ray Spannon, are you 18 plus?
Yes.
Awesome. I want to let Lady continue talking, but I'm curious if you came up to answer the question or share something specific.
Not really. Just I was intrigued by the conversation, and I saw the side subjects, and just thought at some point I might be able to add something to some of them.
Okay. Are you a believer in a specific religious tradition?
Yes.
Are you a Christian?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna assume most people who want to talk about religion are going to be Christians on the panel. I'm not personally a Christian. I do want to hold space for all kinds of worldviews.
Igtheist, and you defined it, and I still don't understand what it is.
Well, Igtheism, I do. Yeah, I was hesitant to even identify as an Igtheist because I'm not sure if that word is correctly used in that way. But
I've never heard it before.
let me put it back in the chat so that people have how it's spelled. Igtheism. Igtheism is just the idea that if a word is not defined well, then you can't even talk about it, and it becomes irrational until you agree on the terminology. And this is sort of grounded in the idea that that definitions are not truth apt, which allows for people to have their own definitions of terms. Like, for example, God specifically would sort of fall into the filter of Igtheism, where I would have to say, what do you even mean?
Okay.
That's what Igtheism.
To the Tao.
Well, I think Tao actually has a prescribed worldview.
No, Taoism, yeah. So I'm technically Taoist in a sense. Taoism is a philosophy. It's something I started with. I've translated the Tao Te Ching into English from ancient Chinese for myself, which is so rewarding, and I love it so much. Lao Tzu is amazing. And I think, honestly, that the Tao Te Ching is more than anything a book on metaphysics.
Right.
Honestly. But so the thing in Taoism is it's like you believe that there's just a higher order, right? That propagates down into lower order, which kind of is a segue into the topic that I wanted to bring up with hosts. But
Well, lady, you've been here the
The
longest.
reason
Why
I
don't...
brought up the Tao.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Michael, and
reason
then
I
I
brought
want to
up the-
turn it back to lady.
Okay, thank you. The reason I brought up the Tao is because when you described Igtheism, saying like, what is it that we're defining and that we're talking about? It was what popped into my head was the Tao that can be spoken of is not the true Tao. So the way you were describing Igtheism kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, Igtheism doesn't prescribe any answers. It just kind of holds its ground of asking what you're talking about. It's the philosophy of seeking clarification before accepting anything.
Oh, okay.
everyone should just be like that.
Yeah, I have found that most people are not. So I do agree with
Most
you.
people are not. It's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are cult leaders. That's the other thing. Have you run into that on TikTok lives? Like,
Yes. I don't mind cults. I don't mind. I've started little groups of my own. I mean, yeah. But
I
go
just
ahead,
like
lady.
to
You've
break them apart. I just like slowly but surely like set all of the pieces up, and then I'm like just not a normal person. But anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. I have a topic for you. Okay. Have you ever talked about the universe as like a higher dimensional topology, and it's like it's a fractal universe? So it's like the same physics that occur fundamentally.
What do you mean by
propagate
topology?
down. I mean the algebraic definition.
Oh, I don't know what that is. I'm not a
Oh my gosh,
mathematician.
you don't? Oh,
No.
no.
That's why I'm an igtheist. I'm ignorant. I don't know.
Oh,
And when you explain this, can you explain what a manifold is too?
yeah. So wait, have you ever heard of a book? You have never heard of this book, but you need to read this book. It's so good. It's called oh my gosh, I don't remember what it's called. It's on my bookshelf. Where is it? I just moved all my books around. There's like dolls and stuff in the way because I homeschool my kids. Okay, I'll get you the name of the book another time. There's this book on the cognition of math, and I could never understand math until I read it in terms of neuroscience. And then it made sense to me because it's like I am so divergent that I don't function the same way biologically that the people who invented math function. So like math is basically just a series of metaphors. And I am incapable of understanding metaphors. Like I just do not get them. But if it's topologically equivalent, then I can get it. So think about this. A topological equivalence is something like if you have a donut and a coffee cup, those are topologically equivalent. Why? Because they're both shapes that are closed except for one hole.
Say that again. A coffee cup and what?
And a donut.
Okay.
They are topologically equivalent because they're both shapes, right? That are closed, which means that, they have lines where like if you use in Microsoft Paint, if you use the fill bucket, it's not going to
Okay.
leak out into the background. It's going to fill the space. That means it's closed, right?
Is a donut closed? Is that a closed shape?
Yeah, donut is closed.
How?
because
It's got a
if you-
hole all the way through.
It's got a hole in the middle of it, but then it's got the outer shape, and then the outer, like the whole shape of it is a closed, like it. The way that it's shaped is that there's one hole in the center, and otherwise it's closed.
I don't mean to be pedantic, but I don't think does a coffee cup have that feature?
A coffee cup has that feature in the fact that it has a handle, and otherwise it's and this is what a manifold is.
Oh, the
Manifold-
handle is a
The
donut.
manifold, exactly. And the manifold is the actual like unique shape of it. Like the fact that the coffee cup is different than the donut because they have different manifolds. But topologically, they're the same shape because they both are a manifold with one hole through them. And that's the algebraic definition of a topology.
Okay, so tie this back to how you were using topology.
Okay, so I'm saying that the universe, all of existence, everything that we experience and all of the galaxies and everything in this and beyond is a higher dimensional topology. And we experience it in 4 dimensions, but it exists in a greater number of dimensions. And it's just a topology is just one of those. It's a shape that has like a specific structure to it that like
So You were talking
everything
about the universe having a topology. Are you saying that you know the topology of the universe?
Well, the topology of the universe would be knowable to anyone who exists inside of it because we are the same as it. We are the
Oh,
topology.
isn't that so? Is that pantheism,
What?
or what is that?
What an Alan Watts thing to say.
Is it?
It
People
is.
compare me to people. I don't
It
know
is
who
an
that
Alan
is
Watts thing
really.
to say.
I've heard of
Oh,
Alan
you'd
Watts.
love him. You'd love him.
I've heard of him.
I love him. He helped me understand Eastern philosophy, but he is a little confusing because he does it through a Western philosophy lens.
That's interesting. I barely know anything about him, but I understand Eastern philosophy really well. So no wonder we sound similar.
Then you might actually not appreciate him. He did water down Eastern philosophy, but he did it for the Western audience. So he sort of bridged the philosophical gaps. But I kind of want to challenge you to explain that a little bit farther if you're saying that someone within the universe can understand the topology of the universe, because I don't know if I agree.
Because every person within the universe is the universe.
Oh,
contains
but we're not
the
identical. Do you
Not
mean
identical.
A is A? Well,
No,
then
it's-
how could
okay,
you say we
no,
are the
I mean
universe?
it like this. I mean it like capital Psi equals lowercase a times lowercase.
That's
psi
not simpler.
one
What do you
plus
mean? What is
b
that?
times lowercase. That is a basic wave function. That is, I mean it in the sense of a superposition where a particle is a whole particle, but it also is a probability function, and it exists in some amount across all of space and time until you measure it, and then it's a
Okay,
whole particle.
maybe I just need you to reword what you meant to say, because I don't think that a part is identical to its whole.
No,
right?
because if you measure, like, okay, so take this example that I was given. I have a bachelor's in physics, not a PhD. I left because academia is busted.
Right.
But I love physics. Math and physics is my first love. I'm terrible at math. For a physicist, I'm the worst at math. I've gotten better in time. It really helps to read this book on cognition. I'll send you the link. I'll send you a recommendation.
You're
You'll
being
love it.
accused of woo. Would you? How much woo would you accept if someone says you're talking woo?
I'm not talking woo. I mean,
Okay.
I do understand conceptually all of the physics concepts, and I have engaged on this topic in spaces with people who have PhDs in math and physics, and my perspectives do hold their own against their perspectives, even if they don't agree with me. So I feel like that's pretty good. That's not
All right.
bad.
I would like a further. I'm still challenging you on us being identical or us being the universe. I don't know if
Okay,
that language
so-
is fair, but maybe you can reword it.
Okay, so here's what I think. Right? So it's not like we are the entirety of the universe, because it's also contained in things like trees and ants and the ground and the earth and the stars and the planets and everything.
It's contained in those, or are those contained in it?
Well, neither, because they're the same thing. So it's like, what is the universe? It is a manifold, and every place where it folds in on itself, you get organized matter. And every
Okay.
place where there's no folds, you have space.
I understand.
that's
I
what-
actually like that philosophy. I don't mind that, but I think that maybe how you're presenting it feels a little backwards to me.
I'm
Be-
terrible at communicating. You should
No,
help
you're
me.
doing great.
You
You're
are
I am
so
helping you. I'm
scientific.
challenging you.
No,
I'm making you
I
say
am
it better.
schizoid as fuck. I get kicked out of spaces because the way I say things is always wrong, and I can explain precisely why it happens, and I don't know if I can fix it. But
Well,
this
I
is
won't
the
kick
topic
you
I
out.
want to ask you about.
I won't
wanna
kick you out
ask
unless I feel you're being dishonest. But if you accept my challenge,
I'll
I'm
never
not.
be dishonest. I am
Yeah.
pathologically honest.
Great.
And you are too, and we can just like sense that about each other.
I think
do
so
you
too,
feel-
yeah.
Do you feel like
Yeah.
that's true?
I agree. Actually, I do
good.
agree. Yeah.
And it's to my doom, because everyone hates me. I'm infamous on Blue Sky. If you look me up, you'll find I joined a Discord server from Dr. Blitz. Do you ever watch him?
I
He's
love
one of the
Dr. Blitz.
debaters.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of his community because someone else was posting my Blue Sky comments and wouldn't
Uh-oh.
stop. And I was like, I'm just here to talk about math and physics, but they don't
Well,
like what I have to say about other things.
Talking math and physics without, if you're making claims without expertise, it could be frustrating to someone like Dr.
The
Blitz.
thing is that, like, I have a lot of expertise that is not justified in a degree, but like I have spent as much time researching subjects as a person who has a degree. I just don't do the degree pathway because I'm a data scientist, I'm a mom, I have like stuff going on
Okay.
in my life.
Let me
that
pull you back. Let
prevents
me.
me from having the time for that kind of
I
thing.
accept
and I just
it.
don't. And,
You're a
and
thinker.
Logically, having a degree does not make your argument better. So like, I don't understand why that matters to people. So my first response when they bring it up is,
That's
why
fine.
does that matter?
Let me pull you back. Well, that's a good response because that's Igtheism. Let me pull you
Is it?
back
Okay,
to
well, then I'm
yeah.
an atheist. Then
Well,
we
it-
agree about everything.
Yeah, well, you're the one still making claims. I actually avoid making
I
claims.
I got off topic.
You did, but I was
going to
bring you back.
Question, but
Oh, okay.
but the problem with asking you this question is that it's difficult. So okay. So first of all, you have to accept the axiom, I guess, because I haven't proven it to you. But
I'm not going to accept it. Well, I'm just
Okay,
kidding.
well-
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Well, at least you can conceptually understand it. But
I'll
all I'm
suspend
saying,
my rejection of the axiom.
There you go.
you don't have to accept it or reject it. A partial acceptance is fine. But okay, so
Okay.
what I'm saying is this: that the universe is a fractal. It's like the same logic.
I'm going to want you to justify that too.
Yes, the same logic that gives rise to the fundamental forces of physics also gives rise to our macroscopic existence. So it's like,
break that down.
okay, so like in okay, so let me use metaphors that you'll understand, right? Because you like witchcraft, you said kind of.
Yeah, occult.
So
Yeah,
the-
Carl
the
Jung based.
occult.
Yeah, the occult. Yeah.
Yes, Carl Jung, exactly. Oh my gosh, in my textbook, I'm a published author. Oh my gosh, no big deal. I've only like
Very
sold
good.
like 6,000 copies. So
That's
it's like
amazing.
No big deal. No, it's like no big
Well
deal.
Okay,
But
bring it
if you
back. Bring it
want
back.
to- But I talk about Carl Jung a lot in my book, and I really love Jungian philosophy. Okay, but so all I'm saying is that the Jungian archetypes, right? This idea that these stories that we experience, we all share because we have shared biological features, goes beyond human existence. The DNA inside of us, the spiral, is made of three kinds of parts. It has
Four,
It has
right.
a structure. Well, it has four proteins that combine into an infinite combination, but it's made
Amino
of
acids.
three. Exactly, but it's made of three fundamental parts, which is the two sides of the helix and the amino acids in the middle. So it's, woven three things together that weaves exactly like a braid, like if you were to weave your hair.
Wow.
And it's so to me, it's just
this-
like everything that we experience.
I don't
is
know about that.
derived
I'm
from
going
the
to challenge you on
same-
that.
Well,
What-
okay, well that's just a braid. That's a small example. That's
Okay. This was. Let's bring it. Let's not get too far from what you were
got enough.
using this
You got
metaphor
it- you got
to.
a taste. Let
yeah.
me go on mute, and I just want you to talk about whatever you think is related to this.
Well, wait. I want you to say what you were giving me a metaphor. It's okay if you have to go on mute, but you
got
were
enough.
giving
No,
me.
you got enough
Okay.
parasites.
But I
wanna
also
hear
want
you
to.
talk.
Okay. Someone else was also requesting up, and so I want to introduce a new person.
You bring them up too.
Okay,
I want to
okay.
hear other people talk about it.
Let's do it. So this is All We Know of Earth. They're requesting up. Let's see if they connect, and I'm just going to do a little quick intro, and then I'm going to pass the time back to someone who's been on here
Okay.
for a second. Hi. Are you 18 plus?
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a specific an answer to the question or something specific that you wanted to bring up?
Well, I really liked what Lady Fire Wind was saying. I think that she knows what she's talking about, even though.
Oh my gosh, the glaze.
Yeah. Even though she's using a lot of like math and terms and everything, I think she knows what she's talking about. I'm also neurodivergent. I didn't know I was neurodivergent until later in life, but then it like became very strong, and I could like see the geometry of everything. So I basically started working on like this project where I was working through the surface geometry of the planet, and I finished. And I also found that the entire planet is a helix. And that it dried in from a helix. Like basically, yes, everything's a fractal. And what I found for our planet in particular, and all planets, is that
Is that a thing?
it's a
I've not heard
helix,
this.
So it's a vortex system.
I've not heard
So
this.
basically-
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, our planet is a cluster of vortices, just like in water, right, or in liquid. We're basically in almost what is essentially a liquid medium, the universe.
How colloquially can you describe that? Because I might get lost in jargon, but if you can describe that, I'm interested.
Well, liquid. I just made that up. I didn't
Okay.
read that. Like a liquid medium. So like gas, and liquid, they basically move the same. Like gas is lighter, it can move faster, but essentially they have the same behavioral motion, right? They swirl into vortices, which are like, whirlpools, tornadoes, hurricanes. That is the natural motion. She was mentioning the spiral, right? The spiral galaxy. All of this is the same motion.
Right.
So
Just like
in terms
exactly.
of physics, yeah.
Yeah. Just like
And they create the
we
same topology, the same shapes
Yeah.
again and again.
Oh my
It's like,
gosh, this
okay,
is
do
a
you know how like there's a split in evolution and like we share a common ancestor with monkeys? Like, do you know how that works where it's like at some point the genes split enough that you have two different trees from then on? It's the same thing.
It's like cell replication.
okay.
It's just
So
a split
I like what you're saying.
part of the space-time
Let me
propagation.
say how I understand this, and then you can tell me if I'm off or on with what you guys are describing. So my understanding from a physics perspective, and I'm not a physicist, but from something like the Big Bang model, kind of from the heat expanding into hydrogen and then helium, and then one proton building into through fusion, two protons, heavier and heavier elements create molecules. Molecules combine to make mechanisms and functions and features and eventually objects like planets, and then that started happening at the chemistry level, and then life emerged. So that's how I understand sort of the evolution of everything, cosmology and life. Is this what you're talking about when you say
But
the helix thing?
The same attraction that gave rise to planets because particles were attracted to each other because they're massive. That
Yes.
same attraction is what gives rise to love. It's
Oh,
just
come on. Wait.
attraction. It's just
Is
two
that how you would
people
define
that
love? Is
have-
gravity?
Well, it is in a sense. I mean, love is water, right? It's associated with water, the element. The element water is associated with gravity, the force. So it's
Michael,
like,
is that your computer? Hold on. What?
topologically the same. That would be my
That's my computer.
Michael's matching my energy. This is exactly we're doing the same thing.
Wait.
Yes, that was very good. I love it. And I love the visual, Michael. Okay, so you guys were talking about the helix, and I'm assuming this is sort of the genesis story of why things are, is because just this, and I know, Lady, you were talking about math earlier, and I like that. I would love to understand more of the concepts behind math, the philosophy behind it, but understanding that physics emerged from existing mathematical laws, that's kind of confusing to me. I do get kind of lost in the physics there, but assuming that the laws of physics are consistent, which is what people assume, then unfolding into the complexity we have now seems reasonable.
Well, I mean, it's consistent across this space-time, but there's an infinite number of possible universes, and each one of them has its own set of physical laws.
I understand people say that. I'm going to challenge you on that, why you think that. I don't know if I accept that.
Well, I think that for a lot of reasons. So I'm actually need you to narrow the query.
So the claim that there's multiple universes, and I know physicists talk like this, and so I'm just kind of
I am
like,
a physicist.
it's not
I have
okay.
a degree in physics.
So I know it's not. At least it's not silly to say that. So I'm going to say that, but it's also for me not necessarily comprehensible. So I don't understand how there could be multiple universes.
Have you seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No, but I know I have to. I know I need
So
to,
that's
but no.
about that.
Okay.
Is
Does
it
it
you?
It's basically like an interpretation of, what that would be like.
does it go into like the physics or science, or is it just allegorical in storytelling?
Yeah, it's allegorical. It's a story, but like if you know about these theories, then you'll know that the entire story
Marvel
is
universe.
based in this theory. So basically, it's like a comedy, but the characters are jumping through different dimensions and worlds, and
Okay.
they don't realize they are. Only one of them knows they are.
So
Or a couple of them.
ground this for me in a way that I could accept it as actually true. Like, do I have a reason to accept that as actually true?
No,
No.
it's sort of like
Take it.
That's just a story.
you know, but it could help you understand it a little more. Like
I'm
a
having
funny,
enough trouble with
entertaining
one
take on it.
universe.
I know. Me too.
That does sound interesting.
I feel like it's allegorical for what happens as you come of age and you kind of accumulate a bunch of opportunity and you're like, what am I supposed to be doing?
That movie?
Yeah, but I've not seen
No.
it, so
No,
okay, that's
that
not
movie
true.
is a crazy, crazy, insane movie. it's a
Okay.
like insane movie. You've never seen. It takes an idea no one's ever made a movie about, and makes a comedy from it. So no, it's not about that at all. It's literally about the phenomenon.
You should watch it
the
on a
particle
relaxing
phenomenon.
substance.
Everywhere.
I will. I'll take you up on that.
It's basically applying the multidimensionality of the particle phenomenon, that these particles can be in two states and two places at the same time, to people's lives. And it's like a crazy movie.
Every timeline that exists all at the same time. Because there's no concept of time.
Is that, are you making a physics claim or are you making an allegory?
This is the physics claim. This is not an allegory. This is the
Why should I, how can I accept that?
Okay, you can accept that by understanding that if you look at the universe, from the lens of the math of quantum mechanics, the math of general relativity, if you look at the universe in terms of a process that can be predicted with language like math, and you accept that that's possible even if you don't understand it yourself.
Why would I accept it's possible?
That's a religion.
Why would you accept that it's possible?
I feel like that's like asking me to be Christian.
No.
It is.
Well, I guess it technically is. Because I could use math to prove Christianity.
No, you cannot. Get out of here. You can. That's not okay.
I can derive every religion from one fundamental truth.
I'm not taking anything. Okay, I'm gonna make you do that, but I'm gonna say, I don't do faith or belief. I don't do faith in the perspective of belief.
No,
I don't do
listen,
that.
I don't do belief either. I'm not even capable of belief, really.
Okay, so the mic is yours. So tell me why.
My understanding of physics is I was raised a-religious, I was atheist, and then I studied physics in college, and once I understood the physics well enough, I believed that there is a higher consciousness. Because I think it genuinely is factual.
Okay, you said one mathematical fact or something is going to get us there?
Yes, so the underlying truth is that we are one universe, one process experiencing itself. And that emerges from quantum gravity that is a scientifically accepted.
I'm going to challenge you on that because my understanding is that we haven't narrowed it down beyond 6 natural forces. So the natural constants. I can look them up.
Identify the forces in your mind.
There are 6. I knew you were going to challenge me. Natural constants.
You're right about the number of forces. I'm just asking you to tell me which ones you have so I can understand your.
Here they are.
It's not a quiz.
Okay.
The speed of light, the Planck, the elementary charge, gravitational constant, Boltzmann constant,
you're listing
and then
constants.
These are So what you said one thing makes everything, and I'm saying I'm not sure why you would think one thing.
You have a phenomenal intuition. I can't believe you never studied physics.
This is Igtheism. This is me saying, why should I accept what you're saying?
I can't believe you never studied physics.
The
constants are what they are because of an underlying cosmological equation.
Who is
the cosmological equation is determined by the amount of dark energy, or rather the shape of the strings.
Ooh, bleeding edge physics.
The concept of it is that our universe has a unique set of physical laws. But
I think that's
there's an infinite number of universes that could exist. In the same way that a particle that exists in a certain position in space-time, it could have been in many positions in space-time, but it was in that one just because. And it's like a probability where it's like you roll the dice, but it's still kind of random. And you couldn't totally predict it every time for a single electron. But you can predict it overall across many, many millions of electrons because the laws of statistics apply to that.
Those are very fun, but they are dependent on your claim that there's one thing, even one mathematical thing that underlines
but the claim that there's one mathematical thing is born of the foundational logic, okay? Existence versus non-existence. This is why it came up, because that's your prompt.
Yeah, that's what I like that.
Something rather than nothing.
Okay, and your answer?
Because there has to be something, and then there has to be nothing, and then there has to be something again, and it goes on and on forever.
Okay, but you were saying the answer being a single mathematical concept, and the reason why I'm let me tell you. Hold on.
Concept is the identity principle.
Hold on.
Once you have truly nothing, a space that has nothing in it, you have an ordered space.
Let me tell you,
from that nothingness,
lady,
emerges everything.
I'm gonna have to tell you why I'm challenging you, and this is an appeal to authority, so you can just dismiss this if you need to.
Don't
But
challenge me.
I'm going to challenge you. I'm challenging you.
I want you to talk me out of this.
Okay, I'm going to talk you out of it, but I'm going to talk you out of it with a fallacy. So so you'll have to challenge me back. But I know that physicists have been trying to do the theory of everything, right? And they haven't. So since the smarter than me people have failed at answering the theory of everything, the thing that you're saying you have, why can you say you have?
Why do I understand it? Are you asking why do I in particular understand it?
Why?
Everyone else has not understood it.
Well, I'm asking specifically what your justification is for claiming that there's one underlying thing, or even one underlying mathematical fact, because of what I said, because the physicists haven't made that conclusion.
But it's not a claim. It's like, okay, so you have this concept. Does it exist or does it not exist? And that's dichotomous. If it exists, then it doesn't not exist, period. So that is the foundational dichotomy. And from that, you have two states. The number 2. It exists or it doesn't. 2 options. 2.
Well, can you say that? I'm going to challenge you on that too. I'm going to challenge you on that too, but I think that my challenge might fail. But actually, it was an interesting callback to something someone said in the chat a long time ago, but they brought up the number 0. And I think that's really important because the number 0, well, right, the number 0 is new to math because it wasn't always part of mathematics.
That's true.
And it was made up as a linguistic, it was made up linguistically as a sort of a, what's the word? As something convenient to.
It's a convenience.
It's a convenience. So
right.
Yeah. Okay, good. So now that's why I challenge you, because then I get to say that nothing doesn't actually count as something analytically because it is no thing. So it doesn't count as a first option, which means if you have something, you don't necessarily have two things.
No, exactly. But once you have something, the concept of nothing does exist.
How can you justify that nothing exists? Because if nothing does exist, then it becomes something.
Because because 0 is the empty set. So listen, if you have 5 apples and I take 5 apples away, how many apples do you have?
I don't have apples, so I can't quantify.
Exactly.
I don't have apples.
You have an empty set.
Well, I don't have a set. I don't have a set. No.
Yes, you do. Because you have the units. You have the unit of apples because you had them in the past.
Okay. So I think I'm justified.
But it's real.
I think I'm justified in rejecting that.
You're in time, and that does change things, but it's still real.
The set contains the
don't
units
think we
of apples.
found the grand unifying theory at this point.
I agree. And I think that's why I get to challenge Lady, because I think that not having apples is not the same thing as having a unit of apples. It's not a unit.
But
so
it doesn't.
But
the fact that you're defining your nothingness as apples.
But I can't.
Itself a concept of
but it's
apples.
not. It isn't 0 apples.
It's
not apples.
You have a longing for the apples you once had. You have a history.
Okay, but you're now quantifying something else, right? You see what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Time is quantized. Time is the fourth dimension.
But you're not quantifying apples anymore.
But the apple is a process. The apple is something that you experience.
It's recursive because the concept of nothing is something.
The concept of nothing is something.
Well, that's Michael. That's exactly what I'm actually challenging, and I think
that's the remarkable thing about it. Okay, how do you challenge that?
I challenge that because I feel justified challenging that because 0 is a null concept that is new to math, and it doesn't actually fit. It's something else other than math. It's I don't think that an empty set is a thing. I think that you have to stay categorically consistent, and you have to probably acknowledge where like modal logic comes in. I know it. Well, it makes sense if you understand what we're actually quantifying. So if there's a lack of apples, what am I quantifying? I'm not quantifying apples anymore. I'm quantifying lack. which is categorically different than apples.
No, let him talk for a second. Let him talk.
Well,
for a
that I kind of landed my plane. That's kind of what I was saying.
So if you have a shape though, but like in topology, if you have a shape, right, the shape that you have, like it could be any sort of polygon, but it still creates a shape in the space that's left over.
What do you wait? Say
So
that again.
even in the absence of shape, if you have a thing with a shape, then what's left of the space is now the space that remains in the shape of, it's basically the counter space to
But then
the
what are you
object.
quantifying? But then you're quantifying sort of the substrate that held this space in the first place, which is different.
Well, like you don't have to you don't have to quantify it to know that it's there, and that's the key.
Who was that talking, Michael?
May-
Well, I
yeah,
did.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, let Michael talk.
Okay.
To the smart science people, is it possible to have a topology with no boundaries?
Oh, I'm not this. That's you, lady, and all we know.
No, I don't think so. I'm not very good at math, but I think the answer is no.
Well, it's more like problems, like theories about like how many knots you can make, like in certain ways, like how space, like for example, if you made like 3 or 4 or 5 knots, how is the space going to change, right? Because if you have all these knots, then you have empty space and you have knots and you have rope. So you have all these things, you have matter and you have non-matter. And so in understanding and identifying the topology of the matter and the actual knots, you also have to be able to identify non-matter topology.
Are you saying knots in the rope or null?
A knot, like a knot in a rope, or
Okay.
a knot in space-time, or a tornado, a vortex is a knot.
I know
a
that
discontinuity.
I know that we agree with each other, but I'm so bad at metaphors that I don't understand how that I know that.
How do you define the substrate in which the topology exists?
With a category, probably, right?
The substrate in which the topology exists is a phenomenal question.
I think you would have to just consider it a category, don't you think? Because the universe, the reason why I say that is because the word universe isn't actually a thing as much as it is a category. It's the category of all real things, right?
It's the category of all.
No, it's the
real-
oneness of everything.
That's factual.
Oh.
No, but there's multiple categories of real things. Yes, that is definitionally very precise.
Did we find out why there's
Say you have
something?
the number-
I agree
you
with
have
your
the number one.
definition. Exactly.
Okay.
Like, I'm trying to understand something and catch up with you
Okay.
guys here. So, say you have the number 1,
Yes.
and the number 1 is defined by everything that it isn't. It isn't all other numbers. So it isn't negative infinity, and it isn't positive infinity, and so therefore it is 1. But negative infinity and positive infinity are both the same thing. So infinity, both negative and positive, are the substrate in which 1 exists.
Negative
how do we
infinity and positive infinity are not the same thing.
I don't know what
That's
a
not-
negative infinity would be.
Just so you know, under any metaphorical understanding of the concept of infinity, that will never be true, because the negative sign, what the negative sign means mathematically, and this is what we do in our heads cognitively, this is the neuroscience of it. I had to study it at this level to make sense of it myself. Trust me, math is stupid, okay?
I agree.
I'll tell you that to a degree that is pathological. And I argue with math PhDs all the time. I'm going to redo all of math one day. Trust me.
Do
It's
it.
Into
ridiculous.
imaginary numbers
I'm gonna
and
do
then
it.
stopped.
I'm gonna, well, imaginary numbers gaslit the fuck out of you. Imaginary numbers don't exist, and I'm about to explain why. Because the minus sign is a reflection, like looking in a mirror, okay? And when you look in a mirror, you see the same but opposite. So when you have a positive number line and it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to infinity, and then you say, now I'm gonna take 4 and subtract 8. I go 4, I get to 0. I go 4 more, I get to minus 4. That's the same number, but in the opposite direction from the 0. So what your brain is physically doing, and this
Thanks,
is
Jesse.
studied in neuroscience, What your brain is physically doing is taking the same number you have now and reflecting it across an axis. So the minus sign is a 180-degree rotation, a reflection, right?
And
That's what the
axis
minus
zero.
sign is.
So the
You get that?
axis is the axis 0.
In this
negative
case, the
0,
axis
or
would be
both
0.
0 and
Yeah.
positive 0.
Yeah, and
But
you're
they're not
even
the same
smarter than
number.
us. No, he's
They're
even
not the
smarter
same
than most
number.
mathematicians because he's already doing this in a greater number of dimensions. He's already trying to do it in 3 dimensions and being like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. Exactly. Cartesian coordinates don't make any sense. You got it.
I'm a huge fan of Rene Descartes.
That makes perfect
Huge
sense.
fan.
That makes perfect sense. You've got to use polar coordinates, really, to make sense of it. And polar coordinates are basically defined where it's like you take 0 as being where you're located right now, and then you go a certain magnitude in one direction, and then you rotate from an arbitrary 0 point by a certain number of degrees. And that's the difference. So you're like, okay, I'm this far in this angle from 0. And that's the difference as opposed to being like Cartesian where you're like, I'm at 1,4. You're like, okay. But there's three dimensions, right? There's 3 spatial dimensions. So all of the math that we've studied that they've gaslit us with, all of this math is in 2 dimensions. And what they've basically done is they've taken a higher dimensional system, they've reduced it to 2 dimensions as an approximation, a cross-section of the higher dimensional system, and then they allow us to operate on it 2-dimensionally. Why? Because we were limited and we were unable to do it in a higher number of dimensions cognitively. We did not have the cognitive capacity to do that. Now we do. The prefrontal cortex is
Speak for
capable of
yourself.
doing it now. You can do it. It's
Oh
possible
my
in your-
gosh.
It's possible in your prefrontal cortex. I believe anyone can do it. The
I'm
brain is
trying.
a mock- Well,
I'm trying.
Okay, what
I'm
kinds
pretty
of things?
sure Aristotle could do it.
No, I don't know about that.
Was he good at math? Did Aristotle talk about math?
I don't know.
I don't
He
know.
invented logic.
Yeah, that's
So?
fair.
I have another
That's fair.
question
Well, that's
for you
mathematics.
guys.
Kind of.
I think it might be,
Well,
yeah.
it's almost all modern math is based on logic.
Kind of. No. They are very crazy. Modern mathematicians are insane people. Let me assure you of that.
Michael's trying to say it. Speak up. Michael, what are you saying?
Oh, I have another question for you. So, regarding the I think you said reference point. I may not have the proper vocabulary to ask this question.
Go ahead.
But the reference point in which all the extremes circulate around, that's probably not the vocabulary, but what is the opposite of the reference point, as in the perimeter of what lies beyond the bounds that's opposite of the reference point? If you understand what I'm asking. Like,
I don't. Say it again.
So we were talking about a topology, and there's a reference point in there, and 0 and negative 0, and the extra dimensions so if you take all the dimensions to a single reference point.
There's not a single reference point. There's an infinite number of reference points.
Because every point in the universe is the center.
Because every point in the universe is the center. Exactly.
Yes.
You got it.
So
Is that true?
What is the mirror?
That
what
is
the mirror?
true.
Yes.
That's true.
So-
Because we're expanding from a singularity. So if you look at it as being time bound, it looks like everything is moving away from everything else. So if you go to any point in space time, and this is what what's the name of the fucking famous philosopher and astronomer, not Hubble. Is it Hubble? Hubble's constant. Who is the guy that invented this? I never remember anything about.
I'm
dead
not gonna.
people.
You can
I
make it
just-
up, and I don't know.
I
Just
can't care. Okay, so I think it's Hubble. There's the concept of the fact that when you look at the universe from one point, it's all moving away from that point. And then if you go to another point, it's all moving away from that point. And every point in the universe sees the same thing, because the singularity at the foundation of our universe is the Big Bang is a singularity.
I don't. Is
a
the
white point.
Can I challenge you on the singularity? That's not sound science, is it?
Yes, it is.
I don't know
Well,
about
they
that.
kicked me out of a physics server recently, so you should.
I can
assume
grant
that-
you that for the sake of conversation, because I know that is kind of what the talking points were for a long time. But my understanding was that was challenged, that singularity actually is beyond sort of the information threshold, that we can't know that.
If it's not a singularity, then what is it?
Oh, well, I mean, that's the question. Why answer it? I mean, if we don't know, it's like asking what's beyond the event horizon. You know,
No,
if
but the thing-
information doesn't travel, we can't.
The point of that question is that it is rhetorical because it can't
Yeah,
be
but
anything but a singularity.
Okay, but here's my problem. Is because if it is rhetorical, which it is, and if you can't get past it informationally, which I understand to be true, then you can't use it for anything that you can bring back into reality. Because once you start using it to make other conclusions, you include counterfactuals, and then you can't land the plane.
You've lost me. You've lost me.
Well, I mean, because if we don't know about the singularity, then saying singularity and then using that to support other conclusions is unjustified, although maybe fun as a sort of, but you can't bring it back.
It's about the fact that standard model math points to a single unified picture of the universe at high speeds and high velocities and high temperatures. You find that the forces unify. That is factual. They do.
Wait. You said that quickly. Say that again.
The fact that at high speeds and high temperatures, that the physics of the universe, the forces unify, and you start to see that there's not much difference between gravity and the weak force.
You mean
There's not
at
much
the speed of light?
Well, not necessarily, quote, at the speed of light, but, things moving very close to it that they throw together in, like, the Hadron Collider, like the particle colliders. They're seeing this physics physically when they move these particles very close to the speed of light and crash them into each other. That's why they do it, to see the physics of it. And it's not the same physics that we've experienced macroscopically. That's quantum physics. But the part about it, the fact of the matter is that we're made of particles. So every particle inside of us is subject to that same quantum physics. But it doesn't experience it. It doesn't express it in the same way that we have DNA and we don't express all of it because the epigenetics of it plays a role in how we express the DNA. So it's like conceptually the same.
What is
in
Blue Eyes
terms
say?
of what are you following me?
I'm not following you.
I lost.
I think so. What comes to my mind, and you can kind of rein me back in if my mind wandered, but like quantum physics and things at different scales, like particles in the body versus the actual body, how they behave or why they behave differently is just a matter of size and what affects certain size of objects. But I think
That's
just,
right.
Right. So how did this come up if we were to rewind this back to what we were proving? Because I had challenged you on singularity.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that you can start with something that is unified and result in something that is diversified in the same way that if I go to the source of the Mississippi River, I can stand with my feet on either side of the banks because it's a tiny creek. I've done that. And then you go to the other side of it and it's a mile-wide river. So which is it? Is it a tiny creek I can stand on either side of, or a mile-wide river? It's the same. It's the Mississippi River.
Wait, do you live in Nebraska?
I live in West Virginia.
I'm not sure what point you're
West
making with
Virginia.
that lady.
I live in West Virginia, but I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm from Scranton. So
Both
I have the
sightings
most
is
annoying-
very funny.
I have the most annoying accent in the country, and they voted on that. By the
No.
way. Yeah.
Oh,
The
that's
Wyoming
rude. That's
Valley
rude of
accent.
them.
I'm a Wyoming Valley girl.
That's rude of them.
It's not rude. My accent's very annoying. Everyone hates me. I'm so annoying. Honestly, it's remarkable that you don't
I
think
don't
so.
hate you. I think you're cool.
No. I like accents. I don't even hear them. I mean, I like everyone talks differently. I don't even know what my accent is. It's
Your accent
corrupted.
is just like so neutral. I couldn't even guess. Where
no,
are you from?
well, I've lived all over the world. That's probably why.
But
Originally
where do you live
California.
now? I was gonna guess California.
Originally California. I'm not going to dox where I am now. I'm in a desert somewhere, but I'm in America. But I did live I lived in the I lived in the UK for a few years, so I think I adopted
You
a
went
little
to
bit
the
of a.
UK for a few years. What part of
Yeah.
the UK did you live in? London.
I never went to London. No, I worked in the
No.
Midlands. No, I worked in the Midlands
Oh,
and Wales.
interesting. What did
Yeah.
you do there?
Shamefully, don't judge me. Don't judge me. I was a missionary.
Oh, for Christianity?
Yes, I was a Bible
Well,
missionary.
you were raised Christian.
I'm not judging.
I was, yeah, I was raised Christian. I have someone requesting up. I'm gonna
In
let him up. We're
California.
gonna say hi to him.
Interesting. Okay, sure.
Yeah, I was a missionary in the UK after being raised in California.
That's very
We have 7 Wildberry. Are you 18 plus?
I am.
Right on, man. Do you have something? Do you have an answer to the prompt question or something specific that you wanted to add?
You guys were talking about singularities.
Yes. Well, a lady was. I was challenging her on singularities.
I'd like to challenge her also. Can I challenge her?
Yeah, challenge her.
No. I feel like Einstein had a beautiful mind, and he was able to put a lot of things together, but other than what space-time actually consisted of.
What do you
Look
think
on-
it consists of?
Well, if you look on the right side of the equation, it looks like there's room for something to be placed there.
Like what?
A field of some sort.
Yeah, it is a field.
Mhm.
That's factual, but that's demonstrated by quantum gravity, which is an extension of Einstein's theory of general relativity, which was
I like-
flawed, and they've
I
corrected
like
it.
the
So you're right about that.
ideas of quantum gravity.
What's quantum gravity? What does that mean?
Quantum gravity is a theory that unifies string theory and general relativity.
Can I boo? Can I boo you on that? Can I boo string theory? Boo.
String theory.
Boo string.
Or two.
Boo string theory.
But quantum
I would
gravity.
say particle physics, or that unifies the standard model with cosmology.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say string theory because that points at a specific possibility, but there's multiple possibilities, right?
You don't have a degree in physics?
I don't.
know.
Really? Wow. Do you
Michio
understand?
Kaku taught me everything I know.
Who
This
did?
is what I'm
Michael,
talking
who taught
about.
you?
Michio Kaku.
What is that?
The people that I talk to who have degrees in physics are complete morons. And you guys understand it better than them, and you don't have degrees in physics.
I don't
That's
understand
amazing.
it. I just reject it. That's all I do.
Apostate, you understand it extremely well. You are so intelligent.
Maybe I can suss the nonsense is what I do. I can
You
smell
do.
it.
You can smell it. I love
Yeah.
it. You can sense it.
I reject string theory
My-
because
my degree is from the University of being grounded in my bedroom watching Nova.
hey
I
yo.
don't agree about degrees. The thing about it is
Yeah,
that
crash
having a
course
degree
on
is
YouTube.
having a degree is not necessary to conceptual understanding of it. It's not.
I
mean,
agree. I
we
agree.
can find a conceptual understanding of metaphysics, of physics, really, in Kabbalah, Hinduism,
Hey yo, Kabbalah
Taoism.
mentioned.
I mean, we find the truth of the physics of our physical existence in some intuitive form in every religion. That's the purpose of religion.
Okay, you brought up.
May I?
No,
Okay.
go ahead. No, I want to hear what you were saying.
I was going to humbly request that I transition the conversation from physics to consciousness in a way. May I?
Okay. Yeah.
I bet they're connected. Yeah, go for it.
So,
They must be.
so I don't know if you guys have heard of the work of Donald Hoffman, but he posits that consciousness is fundamental to existence, and consciousness
think
doesn't
that's
rise
it.
out of existence, but consciousness creates existence.
Is that controversial or is that scientific?
That is
It's-
controversial
it's
and
it's controversial and yes, exactly, and scientific. It's
Yeah.
a working theory, and the theory hasn't been completed, but it has a lot of merit and backing. It's essentially, I digress. But the work of Donald Hoffman is that he says that because to summarize it to the best of my understanding, because every point in the universe is the center of the universe, every point of perspective that collapses the quantum wave function, your perspective is the center of the universe from your perspective. And so therefore, everything that you're looking at is collapsing the wave function and creating existence that's around you.
I mean, kind of.
Is that, though, can I challenge that? Because I think that might be true. I don't know, but it seems to come from the misconception that observation is like a visual phenomena, that humans observe things, but observation could also be just like a photon hitting an electron. Or hitting like a quantum kind of potential. And then it'll sort of snap from,
Well,
Not just
okay,
vision,
so
for sure.
the concept in physics that gives rise to macroscopic physics is decoherence. So it's called decoherence. It's basically just the fact that if every particle is a wave and you have them all waving side by side, they interfere with each other. So like if you drop a bunch of pebbles in a pond and you're like, where's the ripples? It's everywhere, right? The whole pond is just chaotic motion because you've dropped so many pebbles in the pond that you can't tell which one, where any of them is like oscillating from. So that's the same exact concept. So it's literally the exact same math. It's fluid dynamics, okay? It's literally just the fact that the universe is like a fluid. It's a higher dimensional fluid. And it just is basically oscillating like this, where every particle is like a pebble dropping into a pond. So it's like if you get a system of many particles, that's many, many wave equations. That's many little ripples in the pond. They interfere with each other. So they collapse out of the superposition state into a physical state. So you don't actually have to observe the universe in order for it to exist. If a tree falls in the middle of the forest, it still is going to produce sound waves. If someone is there to receive the sound waves, it makes a sound, I guess. You could argue it doesn't make a sound because no one's there to receive the sound waves.
well, the wave is the sound.
It's going to produce them, period. It doesn't matter if you're there to observe it or not, because the physics of it is inherent to the macroscopic nature of the objects of the hypothetical, right?
Everything obeys the principle, because if it didn't, then it wouldn't be a principle, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, so the universe is pathological, right? The universe is pathological in this way.
What does that mean? What do you mean pathological?
I mean it in the psychology sense. I think you said in your background.
You're a psychist? What is that? What is the word for that?
I don't know.
The everything is mental. No, I mean the philosophy about like the answer to the question of why there's something. It's panpsychist. Panpsychist. Thank you.
I don't know what any of the categories.
But it's also hermetic. Has the first principle being everything is mind. Although I don't know if I accept that, and maybe we derailed what Michael was saying about consciousness. I challenged you so quickly. I don't know. I didn't mean to not let you land your point.
I'm going with the flow.
Think he was good. Yeah. This is a natural progression.
Okay. I don't know if I like the idea that everything is mental.
I don't think it is. I don't think everything is mental. I think though what I just said refutes that.
Everything is part of the system.
Everything is part of a single process where it's one interconnected like fluid where everything that happens causes ripples that affects everything else.
My argument for everything being mental is that we can't verify anything that exists without observing it.
But that's very human-centric, isn't it? I mean, do we have to verify something for it to be the case?
We don't have to verify something for it to exist.
Because the universe existed before us.
Faith.
Oof.
That brings me to faith.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, you said you were a believer,
you don't have
right?
to verify something for it to exist.
What do you believe in exactly? What do you believe in that you can't verify?
I can't verify the existence of God, but I believe it.
I can verify the existence of God.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't believe it.
Let's verify the goodness. Oh, that's okay. Hold on.
What?
All right, lady, the
Exact
conch is
opposite
yours.
position.
Tell us about that.
Yes, yours. Please
I'm
explain.
incapable of belief. I
Well,
don't-
verify it.
God is existence itself.
Isn't that equivocation?
What do you mean?
Well, equivocation is just kind of abuse of the law of identity, where
No.
you have A equals A, and you're just kind of replacing the variable with different
No.
words that feel similar.
If you send a particle away from the Earth in any direction, and you set like targets all around the Earth, you have a target everywhere around the Earth, and you could receive that particle in any direction it could possibly go in, and you shoot it in one direction, there is a chance it's going to appear in a receptor on the opposite side of the planet, and you could receive it on the opposite side of the planet. But do you know what you're never going to do? You're never going to receive part of an electron. No matter where you receive it, it will always be an entire electron. And that's a truth. That's a fact of physics.
Bring this back to God is everything, or whatever you were saying.
Okay, so oh my God.
What was it that? How is it that you worded it?
many steps
God is
in
being. God is
She
everything.
said she can prove that God exists. And
That's
There's
true.
so many steps in between this.
She did say that.
Define
why- that's-
God.
Define
I
God.
must confess I'm a little drunk tonight, and I'm usually sober.
That's good.
So
That's good.
Just so you know that. It's Friday, right? L'chaim.
We love that for you.
Every
I'm also
ancient
feeling the
religion
Friday
said
vibe,
that
if you know what I mean.
God is everything. God is everywhere. Christ said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you."
Yes.
You know, you look at every religion; they're
That's
all
true.
pointing at the exact same thing, and I
Yeah.
think that's what she's circling around.
Yeah, but I
Exactly.
challenge all of that. I don't know, because someone in the chat said exactly what I hear when I say that God is everything. Both sidings said God is love. God is love.
I like
And
that both sides
this is an equivocation. So this is what I'm saying. Is like we have the concept of love, we have the concept of God, and are they the same thing? That's what the phrase is trying to do. It's trying to equivocate.
No. Is God love? No.
Well, this was just a parallel to what you were saying, where God is
Listen,
being. Is that what you
listen.
said?
No. Let me explain it to you. Listen. God is. Period. If you put anything after that period, you have qualified God in a
But
way
you're s-
that does not make sense.
Well said.
You're also claiming. That's a claim. If you say God is as a complete sentence,
God
you're making a claim that
No,
God
no.
exists.
It's not a claim. It's not
It
a
is-
claim. No. You're hearing it wrong. It's a definition.
Well, if it's a definition, it's not a complete sentence. But if it's a claim, it
That's
is.
what the Bible says. The Bible says
You wanna know what I think?
Yahweh as
I
in
do.
it's referring to a specific.
Yeah, but that's what the
Yahweh-
book says. That's what the book
Yahweh
says.
is a stupid pagan deity.
I-
But
I
the
get to-
conjugation, the verb doesn't
I
exist.
think quantum probability is to consciousness as consciousness is to creation.
Yes. agree
I
with
don't.
you.
I don't mind that, but I've not heard that before. Maybe you say that again or expand on that.
I think quantum probability is to consciousness as consciousness is to creation. Quantum probability,
Yeah.
the universe built consciousness, and therefore we're able to create. So
Why does?
what
Can I
insight
can I
does
ask
that
you?
give us?
Why does consciousness come before creation?
Because it's a dimension.
Because if you look at it like this, though, is that, I mean, you'd have to be a science denier. Otherwise, you have to acknowledge that the universe existed before consciousness by a long shot. Unless you're
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Hey, here's the
The
thing.
egg.
You're conflating.
The egg
you're
came first.
No, you're conflating consciousness with awareness. And
Well,
that's the
I'm-
entire problem that you had with that guy earlier who was
What
nuts.
I know.
You guys-
Well, what I was doing was I'm putting consciousness in a brain, and I'm not accepting anything else unless you can demonstrate or prove
Consciousness-
something else.
Consciousness is just a dimension. It's a property of matter.
Is
But
that woo, or can you support that?
I can support that. And by the way, the person who invented the CPU, Federico Fagan, is leading funded research into this concept of quantum consciousness. So like, this is not fringe science. He is a leader. He is a like foundational logical mind in this world, and he's leading a funded research effort to
Okay.
prove some aspect of neuroscience that would
So-
lead
I'm
towards
surprised you
cosmology.
didn't know Donald Hoffman, because I think he works with him.
He might. I don't. I've heard of Hoffman. It's familiar. Anyway, so all I'm saying is it is controversial. It is not proven as theory. It's a hypothesis even, but it is not fringe science.
Okay, but you're saying consciousness is fundamental or something? Is that what
I'm
you're
saying
saying?
that consciousness is, well, okay, so people make fun of this language nowadays, but consciousness is an emergent property of matter, which means that...
Why of matter? Because that would imply a rock is conscious.
Yes, everything that exists is conscious.
Okay,
because
then
it's
are individual
one
electrons conscious?
No,
Why?
because
Yeah, I would be careful to say matter. I would say
Because then you,
fields.
okay.
Oh,
yes,
this is...
No, wait, I misunderstood the spirit of your question. The answer is yes.
Clarify, Lady Firewind. Is an electron, is hydrogen conscious individually? Is each hydrogen atom conscious?
Yeah, yes.
How do you support that?
Consciousness is a field that we move through. And
How do you support
everything-
that?
Because
I
it
can
is
support it.
because it is symmetrical. It emerges from group theory, which is the same mathematical constructs that give rise to the standard model from an underlying cosmological truth.
Well, you'd have to explain that in better terms for me to accept what you're saying, but Wildberry also says he can defend it.
You should defend it. You'll do it better than me. I'm schizoid as fuck.
No, you're doing great. You're fine.
Like,
And I'm
I
drunk.
feel like all of the topics can be answered whenever you again go back to Einstein's equation and you start asking if space-time is a field of some sort, the same way everything else is a field, right? Then what is that field? And then you have to stop and think like an architect and say, all right, what building blocks, what's my material here, so I know what I can use to build this structure. And whenever I step back and think, what's the universe actually made of? Okay, I think that it's mostly photons, and then coming in at second place is neutrinos,
Yeah.
and they're baryonic matter.
Those come
Us,
from
stars,
fields, though,
everything-
don't they?
have a degree
Everything
in
else
physics? Wait,
is
what
hardly
do you-
exist at all.
Pause. What
There's
do you
hardly-
do for a living? What do you do for a living?
I just remodel bathrooms and stuff.
Oh my god.
You know, you guys seem to be the smartest guys sometimes. If you do something with your hands, I find you're usually a very good thinker. I find that to be true.
You remodel
I think
bathroom? Do you live
perhaps
here in
it
West
takes
Virginia? I need someone to do
someone
my
with-
bathroom. I'm not joking.
I work a remote help.
I used to
I
be
derailed
a
this
designer.
Well, you guys,
drafter, and I
You
didn't want to be
are
a computer guy.
amazing. You think in 3 dimensions. That's why you're able to understand this. This is my point. Math was transformed in the 1700s from being about the fundamental underlying truth of existence to being about projecting that into 2 dimensions. When the Cartesian plane was invented, math went off the rails into delusion. And this is why we can't solve the equations, because they're doing the math wrong.
are you doing
They're
Platonism?
not
Are you doing
it in
Platonism?
3 dimensions.
Have you solved the equations?
Yeah, I can solve all the equations. I can solve all the equations and then some. And I do it, and it drives
What's missing on the right side of Einstein's?
Okay, the problem with the equations is this. They are doing the square root wrong. There's no such thing as an imaginary number. The
I think
minus
imaginary
sign,
numbers are crucial.
the
This
minus
is going to be
sign-
beyond me.
The minus sign is supposed to be a 180-degree reflection. But what they're doing is a 90-degree rotation, where they're like, okay, y equals x squared is the parabola that goes, positively like the McDonald's arch, but just one of them, right? So that's y equals x squared. But going like that is not symmetrical. So if you want to do the opposite, so what it is, it's the McDonald's arch, but where it's upside down, where it's like y equals x squared is where it goes down into zero and then up again, like a roller
You
coaster.
guys have lost me. What is?
Correctly.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, we're on the same
I'll
page.
try, I'll try to explain the way I understand. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. So a square root is, let's say, okay, 9 times 9, 81. The square root of 81 is 9.
Yeah.
Not the two nines were in two dimensions because there's two nines,
Yeah.
and the square root kind of sucked them up into one. Same thing with a cube root. And 9 times 9 times 9 is whatever. I'm not going to do that. The cube root sucks those into a single number, but it's represented by this cube root or
Yeah.
square root. Is that right? Am I
Yeah,
understanding that correctly?
You are understanding it correctly.
Okay, land this
So
though,
if you
because
had, if you had, let's say 1 billion dimensions, right? Then it would be 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 times 9, all the way to 1 billion. So you have a million dimensions, and let's say you do the billionth root.
You're
of
being
whatever
totally
that number
mad
is,
right now. Yes.
right? So if you take the billionth root of 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 to a billion times, then you've sucked a billion dimensions into one. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the definition of a logarithm.
what is this solving? What are you guys
solving?
solving?
Nothing. He's not solving anything. He's
Oh
just
my gosh.
understanding the concept of mapping.
But bring this back in because I don't know math and what is
He's
this?
on a tangent. He's in a rabbit hole.
Okay, bring us back in because I don't know. I'm not following the. It's okay. It's okay.
No
I just don't know what you're saying.
He's trying to confirm his understanding of logarithms which are mappings. So you're saying like you could basically say like for every 10, I'm going to move one space. Like how when you're in the nether, you move 8 spaces for every 1. That's
Very
a
good. Very good.
logarithmic.
Yes.
That's a logarithm.
And we
Every
think
time
we
you
think
build
logarithmically.
Another train,
right?
it goes faster because of logarithmic math, right?
Right.
An exponent helps you. It
Okay.
serves you. in
We're
that
gonna
way.
let up another guest right now. I'm not sure. We can bring this back around to whatever it was we were talking about before math. But
We were
let me.
talking about nothing.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. That's good. Let me
No,
bring up
that's the
Action
prop.
Frank.
That's
We were talking about consciousness, and I loved that. So let me just ask, Action Frank, are
I
you
was
here?
joking. That's
Are you
the prop.
18 plus?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have an answer to the prompt specifically, or something you wanted to add to the conversation?
I was listening to the conversation, and ever since I heard the lady say that you guys understand physics more than scientists do, I knew she was full of it.
Oh, we got a
Every
challenger.
so
Are you
far
ready? Are you
is
ready, lady?
Chopra,
I love a
rules,
challenge.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Uh-oh.
all they've been doing is scratching the surface of a whole bunch of topics without
Yeah.
knowing any of them.
That's true.
Really? Like, okay. How
Do
are
you understand the topic?
How are you saying that everything has consciousness?
Yes, I do think everything has
I'm-
consciousness.
How do you?
I challenge
How
that.
do you?
Yeah.
How do you get that from the fact that
Okay.
only things with a nervous system have actually
Yes,
demonstrated?
that's what I was saying.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Answer.
Okay,
Go
so
for it.
I think that what you are calling consciousness, I think this is just a difference of definition. It's semantic.
What is
I'm
your
call-
definition of consciousness?
Okay, so consciousness for me is the capacity to like be one with a greater experience.
Can a rock do that?
Yes.
Our wait. Our what to be one? Our desire? What was it that you said?
Not desire, just a capacity to be one with a greater existence, which I think everything has.
So like a drop of water in an ocean?
I don't really accept that as consciousness.
Okay, you could argue that. I think
Nah,
that
I
people-
mean, can we go to like the most literal term of consciousness is like awareness?
I think what
Is
you're,
there?
I think what
I
you're
don't know if
saying,
there is.
awareness, we agree is derived from physical order within existence, and you have to have a brain, and you have to have a certain kind of configuration of cells in a body, such that you have a neural network that can arrive at independent thoughts.
Yes.
From any, and we
Well,
agree about
actually, I would say
And
that
I define
I would
that as
challenge you on
awareness.
that because I think plants have awareness, if that's your definition.
I I think that plants have consciousness, but that
Oof.
they don't have awareness because they don't have minds.
Well,
like humans.
they receive sensory information and have memory.
They have
I
memory.
think
Yeah.
to summarize the question that we're debating is that
Probably true.
it is a conscious being more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Basically, does consciousness begin at a point of complexity?
No.
Or is it a
So
gradient?
consciousness. So just like how gravity is something that we experience because all of our particles are physical things, vibrations that travel through a field that affects vibrations called the Higgs field, and that gives them mass, right? And so just like that happens for gravity, that would also happen for consciousness, but on a level of existence that is greater because it's in a greater number of dimensions than the physical forces of existence. So it's analogous, but it would be transcendent of gravity. It would
Can you
include gravity.
prove that anything transcendent exists?
Yeah, we can prove things that are transcendent exist.
We can.
Like what?
Yes.
Can we?
Like what?
Well, what would you accept as proof? Would be my first question.
Well, evidence would be anything that increases the likelihood of truth.
Yeah,
Right.
But what would you in particular believe?
A
to
convincing
be
syllogism.
a convincing syllogism.
Increase the probability that it's true. That's evidence.
Can I speak on that?
Do yes.
If it's
Anyone.
proving transcendentals, yeah.
Please do.
Okay, when I think about the universe and what it consists of, I think the CMB is about 400 photons per cubic centimeter cubed in everywhere in the universe. Fairly consistent. Just a few parts per
What does
million.
this have to do with
I'm sorry,
And-
what? What was that? Say it again.
Yeah, it
It cut out.
has everything to do because in order to talk about anything, you have to know what it is what parts you have.
True.
So the universe is photons, neutrinos, and a really tiny, small amount of other stuff.
The universe is
Okay,
everything.
everywhere in the universe, there's
We lost
400
Michael.
approximately photons per cubic
He's
centimeter.
not saying it's not. He's not saying the universe is not everything. He's describing the composition of the universe. Okay, go on.
The composition of the universe, yeah, about 400. If you think of everywhere we can see now, every cubic centimeter within a few parts per million has 400 photons, and every cubic centimeter has approximately 340 neutrinos that we've deducted. And there's just a tiny amount of other stuff that makes up everything that we interact with in the electromagnetic force. And everybody is arguing about what gravity comes from and what's on the right side of the equation.
No, we're asking about transcendentals.
Are you proving a
Not
transcendental?
you. Yeah, I'm getting to that.
We need
I'm-
Jordan. We need Jordan. He was on here earlier.
mean,
Do you remember Jordan?
the world
He does not
is
believe
asking.
that.
So, what if gravity is a result of neutrino interactions with baryonic matter?
Can we stay on topic though?
I want
think
to
that's like
prove a.
I
So,
feel
but
like it's on topic. You just haven't.
I want to know how that
Don't know
proves.
how
Oh, Michael's
yet.
back. Michael's back. I want to know how that proves a transcendental. I'm so interested in proving a transcendental because I actually
if
super
gravity
reject
was-
transcendentals.
If gravity
You,
was.
wait. Start with this. Wait.
Welcome
Before
back,
you
Michael.
continue, pause for a second. I hear what you're trying to get at. Pause for a second. Why are you so insistent, host apostate?
Mhm.
Why are you so insistent that there is no such thing as transcendent?
Because I consider myself just rationally justified rejecting anything that I believe is incoherent, and I don't hear, and I've never heard anybody ground a transcendental in anything
You're
real
about
or
30 seconds away from it.
from.
Wait.
Oh, we lost
What-
Michael again.
what is
I
your
want to
concept
hear it.
of
I want to hear it.
transcendence?
You'll be the first in history.
Yeah,
Okay.
What is an example of something that you think is transcendental?
me?
That you
Nothing.
don't
No
believe.
such thing.
No. What is something that people say to you exists that you don't believe in?
Well, usually they're saying God.
God.
Some logic or something like that.
Oh, and Platonic form. I'm not a Platonist. I'm not a Neoplatonist. I don't accept
I
that.
never understand what the labels mean. Can you explain it?
It's suggesting that like numbers are real. Like not only let's talk about apples, because apples, like an individual apple exists, but does apples exist? Is there apples? Like, is that real? And if it is real,
Yeah.
what does that even mean? And how does that relate to reality? Because that would be a transcendental. Like apples is a transcendental.
Juicine has vitamin C and fiber.
Can you make an apple without that? Like, is a porcelain apple an apple?
No.
It's a kind of apple. It's in the category.
It's a representation of an apple.
So is a physical, right. So the transcendental would be, Michael's failing to connect. That's too bad. So the transcendental would be the concept of apples, of an apple being real. Like there being a apple, like apple God, kind of being the substrate holding up the form of
Can
appleness.
I answer that with my neutrino
There could
analogy?
be a god of apples.
Yeah, I do want to hear Wildberry.
I
Let's
do want
hear.
to hear Wildberry, but just before Wildberry speaks, I do believe there could be a god of apples. Okay, Wildberry, please speak.
That's so interesting. Okay, that's transcendentals. So go ahead, Wildberry.
I
Yeah.
do believe that. Okay, Wildberry.
Okay. So the big question everywhere is, what is space-time? What is it made of? And I think that the missing link is that there's a massive neutrino field out there that is literally almost half of what everything is. But it's extremely hard to capture because they go right through everything and looks like they don't really have an effect on anything. But when you think in the world of field theory, everything is phase. Okay, everything is phase change. Now we know that neutrinos have forward scattering. That's been proven. They can change phase whenever going through baryonic matter. And I think that there's a few other things that I'll save us time, but I know what they are, that can result in and lay right on top of Einstein's equations and say, here's what space-time is. So if neutrinos are in fact what what we're calling space-time, it would have to be an interaction, and it would have to be through a weak field. So it would have to be something like a light Z mediator, similar to how the big Higgs works.
Can you
And
state
it
the
would have to
whole
be a
argument?
long-range mediator. And that long-range mediator would be the communicator between everything. That's what connects absolutely everything to everything else.
Are you
Sorry,
not?
guys, my phone lost its consciousness.
Hi, Michael.
it did.
Hi.
Glad you're back. Glad you're back.
Okay, so but Wildberry, are you positing the graviton?
No, I'm
How is this different?
because a graviton would be something different. I'm saying it's already there on the standard model. It just hasn't been interpreted correctly.
Are you
All
saying
you
that
have to do is
neutrinos are transcendental? Is that what you're saying?
no. I'm saying that once you really soak in the concept of everything being connected through a field that's freaking everywhere in the universe that just barely kisses everything, so barely that it just barely shows up and looks like gravity, because gravity's not strong.
So you
know?
think that that's what you are positing the graviton? You should have said yes.
It's not a graviton, because
No,
a
no.
graviton would be a separate field. I'm saying it's the neutrino field.
No,
It's the
but
field that we already know.
No, all the fields emerge from symmetry breaks that come from the previous ones. You are positing the graviton. You are doing group theory unconsciously.
I think neutrinos are Majorana.
Are you guys speaking French?
No, we're speaking math.
Okay, ground
He
this
doesn't speak
for
math.
me. Ground
We
this
should
back
do it in
into
French.
transcendentals.
Let's try
No,
to
don't
do
do
it
it in
in
French. That'd be worse. That'd be worse. Latin may
Do
be
you
better.
speak another language? You speak Latin?
No. I mean, English has some Latin. What?
Apostate. Do you speak Latin? Why is your name Apostate?
Because I'm an apostate from a closed tradition.
Of what tradition?
Do I
Can I
have to
ask?
say?
Is it- You don't
Yeah,
have
no, it's fine. I was raised Mormon.
Mormon.
If such a thing were to exist,
You know,
like
my best friend growing up
a
was
neutrino
Mormon.
field with a light Z mediator, then you would have things showing up. There would be waves, invisible waves going everywhere that have an effect on matter, and I think that's why
Yeah,
you have seashells
gravitational
and
waves.
everything else that I
Yes,
think that's why we see spirals everywhere. How does that happen?
exactly.
Well, it happens
You
through the
got it.
neutrino field. That's how it gets propped.
No,
That's
No,
how
you
it's
don't.
We have
propagated.
pattern recognition. We have pattern
No,
recognition.
no,
But
he's right. It gives
I
rise
have
to
Yeah,
pattern
actually, just make
gravitational
sure.
waves.
wait.
Yeah,
It's
she
not
just made me get it
guessing.
No,
with
it's
the
just
ripple
that
and the
spirals
bubbles.
are like
He
a
just
good way to
he just
support.
they're
derived
pretty. They're pretty. We like them.
he just derived
Man,
group
The
SO4 from
remodeler of
first
kitchens,
principles.
ladies and gentlemen.
None of you are
What a,
impressed.
What?
what a
None of
smart
you
guy.
have done it.
Okay, I'm going to
You just
grant
unlocked my
that.
brain.
So it looks like Darwinism, and it looks like every religion that ever existed.
I'm going to
Wild
grant
Berry's
how smart
unconscious.
you. I'm going to grant how
Berry's
smart you guys are.
unconscious math is intelligent. Wild Berry's
It's
unconscious math is good. He
it's
is an
beautiful.
intelligent
I'm
person.
very impressed, and I'm very confused. But I am.
Conscious.
If we can,
Very
I
conscious.
want someone to take the challenge of proving a transcendental.
Okay, wait. Define transcendental first.
No, you. I
Transcendental
reject them.
means-
I reject them. It was brought up by one of you.
Transcendental means that it is true across all of space and time.
Is that what transcendental means?
That's my interpretation.
If it's in space of
No,
time,
that
no,
just
no.
means objective.
Wait, let's go around the room.
Objective.
And each of us tell
Yes.
us in
That's
turn
different from
what we think
transcendental.
transcendental means.
Yes, a
Yeah, I think that's fair.
transcendental-
That's fair.
Yeah, let's go in a line. So, host,
Okay.
you pick who's first.
Okay,
Michael, you go first.
Michael, you go first.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So,
it's your idea.
transcendental to me means becoming more and more. Now, I'm going to borrow a word from the church, and I'm not using it in that way, but
Uh-oh.
Okay.
more and more holy, or as in one piece,
Okay.
or as sovereign as all there it is that's has complete infinite integrity in and of itself.
Yep.
I've had 666 total viewers. Just saying.
We agree. Michael and I agree. Okay.
Magic
Next.
number.
Who is
Magic
this?
number.
Action.
Action, Frank.
Frank. Okay, Frank. It's my dog's name. Go. What's your
Mine too, actually. Frankie. It's my dog.
What?
Franks, don't make it
Your
wrong.
dog's name is Frank.
I am a Frankie. Yeah. No, I'm being
Is he
real.
Is he a puggle?
She's a mini schnauzer.
She's a Oh my god, that's so cute.
She's
Mine's
wonderful.
A puggle.
Franks are handsome and pretty.
All
That's
Franks
true.
are
That's true.
handsome and pretty. Okay,
I agree. Okay, action, Frank. What's a
Action,
transcendental?
Frank. You're up.
Well, like the name would say, it's just something that transcends. I heard it most of the times as something that transcends our minds, as in it exists independently, whether our minds think about it or not.
I hear you.
Is that
Like
just
the
an
laws of
an
logic.
objective fact? Well, how is that different than that? Does that mean like a tree is transcendental if I don't know about it specifically?
Well, not so much not so much material things. It's like giving material properties to things that aren't material. Like the laws of logic, people say that they're transcendental. It's almost like they're giving them material properties without actually having them. You know what I mean? Like they exist without us thinking about them, but in reality, it's just us defining or observing the universe.
How is that different than animism? Or is that an unfair comparison?
Well,
You know what I mean? Like the idea of giving a name to something we don't fully understand. Is that what you're saying, or am I misunderstanding?
kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, like I've always rejected transcendental. That's why I don't like define.
Oh,
Don't
perfect.
support transcendentalism.
What?
You don't support transcendentalism,
No.
but this is your definition of it. Interesting.
Well, that's what I think about. Like that's what I kind of understand
Hmm.
of it.
I'm gonna
But
Google the
what do you
definition.
do for- What do you do for a living? What do you do?
I'm a nurse.
You're a nurse. Okay.
Yes.
You work at a
You
big
might
hospital?
have seen some life and death.
Do you work at a hospital?
I no, right now I do private duty, and I've also
Private.
worked at hospice.
Hospice. Interesting. You see a lot of death.
I've seen several, yes.
You don't
I have
any
family in
problem-
nursing. That's rough. That's rough business.
You don't have any
It is.
problem with death.
With no,
You're at peace with it.
yeah, I don't have any problems with that.
Where
Um,
does your peace with death come from?
Well, like it's the fact that it's
It's part of life.
inevitable.
Yeah.
I don't think death is scary. Some people might think the way in somebody dies is scary, but not death itself.
I agree with you completely. That's so wonderful. Where are you from?
Texas.
Texas.
Yep.
Nice. I love that.
I love Texas.
I hate Texas.
I have two siblings that are nurses. They have similar
You know why I
stories. It's
hate
beautiful.
Texas?
Why?
Because Texas has the worst mud in the whole world.
Texas has it's a big place.
It's mud mixed with sand, and it's so thick and terrible. Texas mud is the worst mud. I hate it.
You know what's funny
And
is
there's cactuses everywhere. You'll step on one if you
oh,
don't.
I
if
love
you're not
cactus.
familiar.
I grew
I went to a
cactus. I love
park in Texas. I hated it.
it. Just watch out for the jumping choyas. They're the worst.
I couldn't live in Texas.
And chupacabra.
You must be
And the
very, very
chupacabras.
strong.
The chupacabra cactus.
Wait, you're born and raised in Texas?
No, I've been here for like 26 years.
26 years though, so a long time. What part of Texas? San Antonio?
On the dot.
On the dot.
Wow.
Anyway,
How
I've
did you
been
guess
all-
that?
I've been everywhere in the country. I'm psychic as fuck. I know everything.
Oh my gosh. I believe that about you.
I'm sorry. I freak people the fuck out. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I actually want to say that I think
San Antonio is the only part of Texas I liked. That's why.
is it a good place? Highly recommend.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's nice.
Okay, Action Frank, your definition.
No, and what's the capital? Austin. Austin's nice. I don't like the cities. Dallas, ugh, and Houston is the worst.
It's really humid over there.
It's so humid. Oh my god, I thought I was gonna die. I could never live in Texas.
Dallas is okay, but
Dallas is not. It's a city. I hate cities.
Okay, I'm gonna
You
let's
like city?
let's bring it back.
Okay.
I want to
This
give
is the-
Action
this is
Frank
all
huge
about-
kudos. I know it's real.
Okay.
It's beautiful, but I want to give.
Trust me. You gotta trust me. I
What?
have a method. I have a pathology, right? I have to understand everything. Once a person tells me where they're from and what they like and all this stuff, I start to get a picture of them. I get an image of them. in my
Careful,
head.
Action Frank. Lady Firewind is what's divining you? She's using her psychic powers.
I always am using my.
But let
psychic
me give you huge props, Action Frank, because your definition, I looked it up for transcendental. Yours was
Well,
almost exactly on the nose with the first one. Let me read this. It says the first one concerned with the priori or intuitive basis of knowledge as independent from experience, and I feel like that's what you were saying.
Nailed it.
That's beautiful. And then the other one is asserting a fundamental rationality or supernatural element in experience. So I feel like that's similar. And then surpassing all others superior is the third one, but I think that's silly. But that's kind of how people use it, I think.
I don't abide supernatural as a concept. I don't think there's any such thing as supernatural. And
I
we
love
just
that
don't
you said that. I also reject supernatural for the same reason I reject transcendental.
I don't reject it. I don't reject transcendental. I think transcendental is something that we can physically experience.
Okay, it's your turn, lady. Define transcendental.
Transcend. Okay,
I
no,
got
someone else has to go. Wildberry should go first.
They did. Didn't Wildberry define? Did you define Wildberry?
No, it was Michael and then Action. And
Okay.
Then
Oh, we lost Michael again. Yeah, go ahead, Wildberry.
He'll come back.
Okay, I'll make it quick. All right. So back to Wildberry's theory about neutrinos being the source of gravity.
Is this a definition of transcendental?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if that's the case, it would have to be through a light Z mediator. Then when I think of gravity, I think of an oil and water mixture. You put it in a bottle, you shake it up, all the oil turns to drops and they gravitate toward one another. And it works like surface tension. And whenever you think of phase, how phase works in particle physics,
It's exactly like that.
it's the same type of analogy. So Oil doesn't believe that water exists, and it's literally everywhere. It just hasn't had the numbers put to it. So if you are in an ocean, literally immersed in an ocean of neutrinos, and if it does have a very slight interaction with matter, just enough to cause that tiny force that we know as gravity, then that means you are embedded in a pervasive medium, and every action that you make and every thought that you have gets recorded into that medium.
Let's get recorded, but it gets recorded into physical flesh. We are the allocation of memory, and the universe is basically a giant time series database.
Perhaps it's where coherent systems draw from and record information too.
Yeah.
So
it's
this
like,
is this distinct from
why are
physicalism?
we aware of it? Because we are the CPU. We are the allocation
Physical.
of memory, right?
It's just as physical as anything else. Yeah, it works the same.
So if
as
it's
any other
physical, where's the transcendental property?
But the fact that it's in the fact that the universe exists in a higher number of dimensions, it's a higher dimensional fluid that we experience.
You can't
as a
touch it.
process.
You can't see it, and it's everywhere. It's inside you. It's inside everything.
For the record,
Everything communicates with it.
See it. I see it, like not with my eyes, but with the parts of my brain that are designed to
Hey, the
interpret
hippies were
signals.
right.
The hippies were right.
That's okay. So my challenge on that is we are all humans and we all have a similar kind of physical structure in our brain, and that's why we have common psychophysical experience, right? I mean, it seems like we look at the universe and we apply our features to it because that's how we're seeing it through our processor. That's physicalism, applying our nature to something beyond
Why
us.
do you
And
think that this is applying our nature?
God made us in His own image.
well,
right?
I think.
We made God in our image.
Oh, come on. You're gonna. That's a whole thing. If you're gonna say stuff like that, I'm gonna make you prove it. But I say that because we are in our bodies. It's just I'm kind of a physicalist, I think, where I reject transcendentals, and you said the word higher, and I was flagged in my head. I'm like, I don't even know what that word means. This is why I reject transcendentals,
No,
because
the connotation, you don't like that it means better.
I don't like that it doesn't mean anything.
You think the concept of God means that you have to be subservient to some greater concept because you were raised in a cult.
Well, that might be partially. That might
that's not
inform
the case.
my resistance, but it's not why I reject it.
They were using the truth to manipulate you. It was bullshit.
That's also true. But I reject it because I don't understand what higher means as a word in the phrase.
When I'm saying higher, I just mean that it's literally the number of dimensions is a greater number. It's greater than 4, 5. It's 6 is greater than 5.
But then we're talking about dimensions.
I am talking about the number of dimensions when I say higher.
I don't know what that means either.
Okay.
Like, right, left, up, down, forward, backward, time. I don't know.
Yes,
I mean, is that
yes, but time?
okay?
But you can't move backwards in time. You can't move backwards in time because there's a collapsed symmetry, which is
So
entropy, which is the conversation you were having when I joined.
Yes, it is. No, I know it's good. It's all tied back. I think it fails to prove transcendentals. Sorry, who? I don't mean to interrupt. Who's trying to talk? Go for
Who
it.
was trying to talk? Someone
Go
else
for it.
should talk.
I was saying, in theory, you can go back in time as long as you go over the speed of light.
I don't think you can go backwards.
But you
in
can't
time.
accelerate to the speed of light, right?
You can.
No, I'm saying in theory.
But you'd
Well,
have to have an infinite mass.
That's where my
stop.
acceptance. See, this is where I feel like all of these things, and that's why I like the topic of transcendentals, because it forces us to express these things that to me feel like I don't know, so let me infer patterns I recognize onto things I don't have access to.
Yeah.
Right. And then what we're doing is not actually making claims that are supportable. And we can't use those to infer anything about reality because we've already sort of departed. But I think I could accept maybe, possibly, the laws, what are they called? The natural constants? The 6 cosmological constants as transcendentals? Are those transcendentals?
I would argue that they are transcendental in this sense. Listen, there's multiple dimensions to transcendental. It transcends time, as in, it is something that occurs in every timeline that exists.
Isn't
based
that
on
an
this
assumption?
set.
The continuity of
No.
nature is an assumption, though, isn't
No,
it?
no, it is continuous. It must be continuous.
Oh, come on. What do you mean? Why?
If nature is not continuous, then you would be able to observe the individual frame, which is not possible because of uncertainty.
Wait, why?
Because when you get down to a level of observing an individual state of a macroscopic system made of many particles, what you discover is that you can't observe every single particle perfectly.
You
So
said that
you
you
want
said that fast, and it sounded smart, but I don't know that. So say that again.
Okay, I'm so drunk. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just say it again. You can say it exactly how you did. I just didn't grasp what you were saying.
Okay, so when you have a macroscopic system of particles, the probability of all of those particles, your ability to know the location and position and trajectory of every one of those particles at once, any individual one of them, you have a probability of an uncertainty of 2 pi. So when you have billions of particles, you have a probability of billions times 2 pi. So you're going to not know.
Unless you complete the standard model.
No, even if you complete the standard model, the uncertainty is inherent in the concept. This idea that you can remove chaos from math is not factual, right? The universe is inherently chaotic.
Are we talking about transcendentals?
Yes.
A transcendent truth is the fact that chaos exists.
Well, we're talking about transcendentals, and I was.
Everyone did get a chance to define it, except maybe. Wait, Michael, you
Did
started
you?
us off, right? It was your idea.
Yeah, I think so. I wanted to have a follow-up question to that when you guys are done.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's come back to that.
I do.
Michael's back.
Yes, Michael is going to get his follow-up question, but I just want to see if maybe Lady Firewind, you can respond to this. Of my claim was that I don't know if we have a reason to assume that the natural constants are forever permanent. Like I know that the uniformity of nature is assumed. The uniformity of nature is functional, right? But do we?
Can't know
Right.
that. It's
Okay.
impossible to know. And if they are functions over something, we know that they must be functions over gravity. Essentially, they must be functions over space-time, some higher dimensional
Or
shape
proceeding,
stuff in
or
dimension.
holding up just this moment.
So what are the constants? What are the cosmological constants varying over some seventh dimensional shape? Like that would have to be the case. So we know that much.
I might have to concede if we're going to talk about 7-dimensional space, but Michael had thoughts.
I can talk about space in 10 dimensions because, and this is no joke, I perceive of the universe in all 10 dimensions at every moment of space-time, and I am so crazy that they held me on involuntary state when I had my 3rd child, and I'm so crazy I get like removed from so many spaces because people just like can't understand where I'm coming from or understand that I'm an authentic person. And listen,
I think you're authentic.
This is the truth. I am authentic.
I don't believe you, but I think you're authentic.
People can't understand that because I'm so insane. Like I'm
No,
so,
I believe it.
I've
I mean,
had
I believe that you believe that.
I've had people who have schizophrenia diagnosed since they were 5 years old say to me, "You must have schizophrenia. I can't imagine that you don't have it."
Do you remote view?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
I
Have you ever been able to demonstrate that?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that, but I want to hear what Michael had in his mind.
Okay. Let's go to Michael.
Oh, okay. So the follow-up question was, around the room, just quick, a yes or no answer to this. Do you believe, by your definition of transcendence, that a human being or a human consciousness can become transcendent?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what?
Yes.
Really? Whoever said yes, please answer to that. What do you mean?
I have transcendent awareness. Yes. That is factual. That's possible.
Have you done it without natural substances?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, it's worse when I'm sober when I have not smoked anything in months or drank anything and I'm completely sober and doing everything right, I'm the craziest I've ever been. That's a true fact. That I'm a data scientist. Do you know that? For a living. I monitor.
Me too.
You are? Wait,
Yeah, we have so much in common. That's crazy. I'm a marketer. I'm an advertiser.
Wait, who do you work for?
Oh, I can't tell you that.
You can't. I work for a company called Velotic, who was previously owned by PTC, and we were just sold from one billionaire to the same billionaire who used to be the CEO of our company
nice.
before.
Technically, I work for myself. I used to work. I don't know if you know Investis Digital.
No, I haven't heard of that.
That's all right. That's all right.
But what do you do? What do you actually do day to day?
Marketing, campaign management, and audience analysis, and data structure
They're
analysis.
trying to get me into marketing, but I'm too antisocial, and I just don't understand what they want from me to do.
There are some antisocial realms, lanes in marketing. You can be a technician or
antisocial.
fulfillment.
It's crazy.
Who else said
I
yes to
love
that
you
question?
So much. I'm so glad I
I
found
know.
you.
Thank
you
you
for doing this today.
Same. Come up next time I go live
I'm
too.
gonna be in your comments all the time.
No, come up on my live all the time.
I have so much in my life going on.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
You caught me on a Friday. You caught me.
Yeah,
on a
all of
Friday
you guys.
and
You two are you two being here talking about this for as long as I make my day.
Oh, good. Yeah, you too, Michael. All you guys.
Michael,
You guys are offering
you are
such
so
wonderful
smart.
perspectives that I've never heard before, and it's lovely to hear such a
Oh my
peaceful,
gosh.
respectful,
Isn't it nice?
conversation. That's great.
We don't have to be like, when so and so. Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna crash out. This is why I left Dr. Blitz. Okay, Dr. Blitz. I was gonna leave his community anyway, but they removed me because I said
You're too
stuff that
woo.
they didn't like.
You're too
I'm
woo
too
for them.
I'm
Yeah,
antisocial. They don't like it. I could speak to it, but the thing is that like they wanted to move on and talk about something else. But somebody and I was like, okay, cool, glad they're moving on. Whatever, goodbye. I'm gonna go back to my life now, my job, whatever. But then like somebody else kept like sharing my Blue Sky posts.
Were
And,
you
like, they
making
couldn't
weird woo
stop.
claims?
I am so schizoid. And let me tell you this. Everything I say is factual to a degree of pathological
So you say.
to a degree of pathological awareness that is astounding, to be quite frank. But the thing about it is that it sounds completely insane. And I know that, but I also can't think of other ways to say things. And I know why. I can explain why that happens in neuroscience, which is my most recent post on Blue Sky is about that.
I'm not on Blue Sky, otherwise I'd follow you. But you know what?
You're not on Blue Sky?
No, you need Igtheism in your life. That's what you need.
I have never heard of it before this
Well, there you
call.
go. It's my gift to you.
Cognition is pretty amazing.
Hey, lady, I have a question for you about your perspective.
Huh.
About how you sort of more naturally see things in higher dimensions and.
Yeah.
Okay. My question regarding that is, like, how is it? Because I know, like, the more you know, or the more different the way is that you see things.
Yeah.
The more like separated and lonely you become from other
Yeah,
people who don't see things that way.
Exactly.
My question to you is like, what, how? Because you can't verify what you see with other people because they can't see it.
I don't need to
Right?
verify.
Exactly. So you know what you know because you can see it, right?
No, because I sense it in a way that is so real that it's as real as if I physically
How
touched.
do you explain
Describe
it
it.
to somebody else that can't see that?
You know
It's
something?
almost like you have a belief, but you can't explain it to somebody else.
I have never
know it to be
succeeded.
true.
I have never succeeded in doing it.
So is that faith in what you see?
No, it's not faith. For me, it's not faith. I don't have to take it on faith.
I think it would be faith if you wanted
It's
somebody else
not
to believe
faith.
you.
Because I believe in.
I would be
in
asking
Jesus.
them to practice faith. Exactly right. That's so precise. Oh my
So,
God, that's
yeah,
why
so it's
I
like-
came up
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
Oh my
That's
goodness,
so
I love
weird.
this conversation. Okay.
No,
so
but listen,
because
I
I
can't-
believe in Christ and I know that to be true. I can't explain it to somebody
Okay,
who can't
Christ
see it that way.
Christ is a greater concept of goodness that is made of the pillars
Something
of
real quick.
creation. Christ is an idealized form
And
of existence that exists for the purposes of striving towards it, even though you can never attain it. And even that is foundational to Christian philosophy.
I know that you know, and I know that you believe that what you just told me is 100% truth because
That
you
is
see it that way.
factual.
But
Yeah. Why don't you believe that?
The way that people who believe in Christ
I believe
see
in
things,
Christ.
yeah, or I think any religion, for example, they have a certain perspective on these things, and somebody who truly believes what they see, they can't explain it to somebody else who can't see what they see. How do we bridge that gap for like all of humanity?
Oh.
I think I have an
You
idea.
want to know how we save people's souls, and this is the truth of it. You can't save everyone.
I have thoughts on that.
About Christ.
I have thoughts on that because I created a
Everybody
theory
else
of
knows. Let's go on
everything.
a line one at a time.
Hey,
Try
well,
to answer that question.
And I just want to say that biblically, Christianity is proven false by the Old Testament, because
The Old
prophets-
Testament is propaganda from Yahweh, who's fucking pagan deity. Who's full of
You
fucking
can't
shit.
pick and choose.
Christianity is based on Yahweh.
No, the Christianity was an invalidation of the Old Testament in favor of the New Testament. And
That's not what Jesus said.
no, Jesus was a Pharisee according to lore. He was a Pharisee who understood Jewish law better than the sages and argued in favor of the New Testament by using the Old
Jesus
Testament to
got
argue.
Jesus
Which
was
Jesus
telling the
Paul
Pharisees off
successfully
because they were
did,
following new
which is
tradition
why
instead
Christianity
of the
did.
Old Testament.
Huh?
Jesus got mad at the Pharisees for following their own tradition instead of the Old Testament, instead of the Mosaic law.
They were no.
So
So here's the problem.
Jesus-
Wait a second. I'm an ex-Orthodox Jew. Do you guys know this? I practiced Chabad Judaism for 3 years in college. I was an Orthodox Jew. I went to Jew conferences and I read the Bible in Aramaic and Hebrew.
Did you get
and
match
English.
made?
No, I dated a person who was not. I was dating a person before I started this part of my life who is not Jewish. And at one point, I was at a camp for Jewish women that was like in bumfuck Vermont, and I didn't know how I was going to even get home. It's crazy that I did this kind of stuff. I was crazy. I'm so crazy.
I want to make sure we answer Michael's
listen, let me
request.
just
So let's
answer
not get
this
too
question
far.
real
Let's
quick.
not get too far. But
Wait,
yes,
it's
go
not
ahead.
that far. But one of them yelled at me and screamed at me that I was going to have bastard children one day because I was dating a non-Jewish man.
Boo.
And so, like, yeah. So that's like the kind of experiences that I had. I have like Ramkoa trauma. I have like the kind of trauma you get from being in a cult. So
Yeah.
we probably have a lot in common, host.
I'm gonna digitally high five you right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of started talking about like the accuracy of Christianity and what it actually is, but before that, Michael had brought up something that I thought was awesome. How about having personal experience and having personal knowledge? I think we can call that gnosis, unless you want to disagree. But how to then share that?
How to share it.
How to bridge the gap so that the division of confusion that exists between people with different perspectives disappears.
I'm writing
How
a
do we
book.
bridge that gap so that we can all see things?
I'm writing a book.
So that we can all see the truth.
Yes, let's do quick answers on that. If lady, if you have quick thoughts on that, and then
I don't. Go to
okay,
whoever else spoke.
who was speaking up just then? Was that Action Frank or Wildberry?
Action Frank.
Well, my question is, if there's things that only you see and nobody else's,
No.
like how do you differentiate that from hallucinations?
It's okay. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Okay. I am a person who experiences hallucinations. Full disclosure, I'm diagnosed with a disorder called functional neurological disorder, but it's really the bastard child of OCD and bipolar. Okay. And it's what happens in a person who like has an overactive anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC. That's the part of the brain that drives compulsive behaviors. It's a person who has that kind of like overactive compulsion, but their amygdala is underactive, so it's not informed by emotional memory. It's not informed by memory at all. It's like compulsive behavior that makes no rational sense. And so like I've been paralyzed in public to the point where like I've been raped because I couldn't move. I've had hallucinations where like I thought I was walking onto a normal floor, but I tried to walk off the side of a building. I have a service dog of 10 years because I've had so many episodes that could not be addressed by modern science that the best solution was to have a dog that at least informed me that I'm, not experiencing
What are you
reality.
thinking of in those moments?
In those, I usually, the most common hallucination is that I'm in a fluid and that we're all underwater. And I think the truth of it is that I'm perceiving of the higher nature of reality and just unable to conceive
I know that feeling.
of the confinement.
Is that higher
tell
or
you
is that
guys-
inner?
Cross section.
Can I tell you
that-
guys?
Go ahead,
I
Wildberry.
I completed a mathematical. Did I hear a laugh?
No, nobody laugh.
No.
Say it.
I completed a theory of everything that includes neutrinos and the light Z mediator as the description of gravity. And in doing so, I realized that it explains flat curve rotations. It explains basically every anomaly that exists. If you think of the fact that you are in a fluid, you are in an absolute fluid of very predominant space fluid. It's a field. We are embedded in that. Yeah. There's no argument there. Like that, we know that
you got this. Oh my God, Wildberry, you know the answer to my question.
Yeah. So
no, I haven't asked the question yet. But
you don't have to.
That's amazing. What's the question?
The question for everyone else who's listening, he's about to answer it.
What's she picking up on? How am I doing this? What is it that I'm picking up on?
Please continue, because I want to hear this question.
The question is, can the pattern change? We live in a fractal universe, and everything that happens is derived of the same shape. And it's all the same.
Yes, we live in a fractal
and everywhere
universe.
You look, it's the same, always, forever. Can it change?
Look, when you look at the really small and you look at the really big,
you teacupped. Wildberry, you teacupped. Come back. Come back to the app.
Come back. No, come back.
We need you right now, dude.
I know, not mid-thought. Come on.
We need you right now.
Yes, you're back.
Come back. Okay.
There's a pattern that you will pick up on, okay? And it's nothing begins in isolation. Everything starts with an interaction. We notice that in gravity. We notice that in particle physics, okay? Nothing begins in isolation. In order for anything to become a thing, it has to first interact with something else.
What makes you think gravity started?
And
gravity starts because it's
interaction is the first step of 7.
It's
There's
a
7
broken
steps.
symmetry.
What makes you think gravity had a beginning?
It's a broken symmetry. Because
gravity
at a
is
certain
a
moment,
force. It's an observation.
Because at a certain moment in physics, a symmetry broke.
No, but that's not the question. I'm saying, what makes you think gravity had a beginning?
Because it must have.
Yeah, everything.
Everything had a begining.
I don't know about that.
I'm about to give you guys the answer to the whole universe.
All right, let Wildberry land the plane. Okay.
All right, man.
Okay, don't interrupt Wildberry.
We're listening.
Nothing begins in isolation. It starts with an interaction. That's step 1. And then you have phase accumulation. Okay. And then things start to line up. Patterns line up. And you have phase alignment. Okay. And then the next step is you have coherence. Okay. These things are coherent now.
Right.
And then you have phase gradients, force curvature, aka gravity, until you have the last step, which is macroscopic stability. And that is the link between quantum mechanics and cosmology. via the neutrino field, NLIZ mediator, and I have it all mathematically written out in a 48 beautiful pages. And
Is
I
that
also
published? Are you published? Where do you have
I
that?
did publish it myself on Sonato.
Yeah, someone says link
But
in
I
the chat.
quickly realized a lot of, because I recognized a lot of patterns, kind of an oh shit moment, that this looks like Darwinism. This looks like every religion that ever existed. And I started thinking a lot about
What is
psychology and
Darwinism?
conscience and everything else. And when you realize that, you know, if I touch one side of the ocean just barely with my finger, okay, there's going to be a butterfly effect. That little touch on one side of the ocean absolutely will affect something on the other side of the ocean. It might just be a little bit. It might line up with other things and become a lot. And that's how everything works. You're in a ocean. We're all in an ocean. Everything is fluid, and every movement that we make, every thought that we make, is connected to that medium. Because if that medium connects just barely to the electromagnetic field, then you can't say that it doesn't have anything to do with thoughts or actions, because it does. Everything gets imprinted into that medium. So if you have a thought, you're going to have a little tiny ripple that goes throughout that neutrino field, the same way if you wave your arm.
Yeah.
and so that's the connection I feel between
When you're done.
that's why it's a unified theory of everything, because it explains quantum mechanics. It explains the bridge between quantum mechanics and classical stability, and it touches on a lot of other things like consciousness and
Wildberry, you got some
religion.
gifts.
And
You got gifts from Nish in the chat.
I don't know what that means.
Well, it means she
That means
appreciated
people
you,
support
sent you
and they
something.
like what
Yeah.
you're saying.
That means you're an incredible
okay.
guy, man.
You're popular.
And what you have to say and share with humanity is really important, and you shouldn't hold back.
Yeah, I
Can
hope you
I-
publish that.
Can I? And look, I think that you're gonna realize, anybody who reads it, I think if you're a Christian, I think you're gonna see support for your beliefs, and I think if you are a Buddhist, you're gonna see support for your beliefs, and if you're Hindu, you're gonna see support for your beliefs, because it's what everybody's been saying. It's the same thing. Everything is wave propagation. That's how everything moves. That's how all, you think of when you talk about the Mandelbrot, uh, or fractals, that's how the universe operates. And that's why I said quantum probability is to consciousness as consciousness is to creation. And I'm not saying, yes, there's a God, or no, there's a God, but I'm saying, I think I just found the closest, the most evidence that I've ever seen anybody come up with as to proof of some sort of, like, everything she talked about fluid dynamics and phase structure. Everything moves into a higher field, so you get a small number of things. You look up three-body problem. You get a small number of things. Those things add up, and they turn into bigger things, and then those things make functions and turn into bigger things.
The book about aliens?
What's that?
You said the three-body problem, the book about aliens?
No.
Oh, that's Isaac
That's what
Asimov.
it is.
That's Isaac Asimov. He wrote a book about the three-body problem. It was about aliens, but the three-body problem exists
I'm
besides
not
that.
familiar with it.
That's okay. It does exist in physics as well. Yeah.
I have two follow-up questions for Wildberry.
Sure.
Unless you guys had something you wanted to ask first.
No, please go ahead.
This is research.
Well, first of all, I meant it when I said don't hold back with sharing. I think it's really important. My two follow-up questions are, what are the phases of, and what two or multiple, however multiple things are coming in phase, and what are those objects who are sinking in phase made of? And the second follow-up question is everything, or you said nothing can exist without an interaction, I think is what you said?
Yes.
Or
Mm-hmm.
something along those lines. What caused the first interaction, or how did the first interaction occur, and is everything that we see, everything that we can observe, everything that exists a result of the first action or interaction?
I would say that that's a really great question that I don't think that we have the tools to build right now. But we know that everything's expanding, okay? And my theory also explains cosmic expansion. It's just the aging of each individual neutrino particle, which is, just a field excitation. It's not like a little ball. And they get bigger and bigger. You look, there's a 21 centimeter photon. You think, oh shit, we've done that. And so that's why you have cosmic expansion. So I personally think that eventually it can only stretch so far. I think that instead of a big freeze or anything like that, I think there's going to be a big slowdown because there's an elasticity there, and then so that leans toward either a cyclic universe or perhaps the universe is infinite and we're just inside the part that happens to be expanding at the moment. But it doesn't rewind to singularity once you think about what's on the right side of Einstein's equation, that it could possibly be a neutrino field with a mediator. It looks more like, if you think of it in terms of just Big Bang, it looks more like the universe was in a hot, dense state, kind of like, and the same thing happens with black holes, that it eliminates the singularity issue. It's just there is a maximum compactness that it can have.
So when we observe, I don't mean to interrupt you. Okay. When we observe a neutrino, do we have a macro perspective on a tiny universe inside of a neutrino? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the thing is that we haven't actually observed a neutrino. We've only observed through neutrino laboratories that they pick up the fact that there was an interaction that emits a little photon, and they're like, oh, that must have been a neutrino that hit it, and then we record it like, hey, a neutrino just made an interaction. So we've only, they're only high energy neutrinos. But low energy neutrinos are extremely hard to detect, and we only deduct them. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the sensors are like really deep underground or something.
Yeah, in ice or deep underground. Yeah.
So my question about neutrinos is, can neutrinos interact with each other, and if inside of a neutrino there could possibly be another universe?
Ooh, yes, that's a very good question. So if it's an ocean,
if they can interact, can our universe that we live in with our macro perspective, right?
They are our universe, though. It's not like our universe and then neutrinos. I mean, it's photons, neutrinos, and then a little tiny amount of other stuff.
If neutrinos can interact, can two universes interact?
Universes interact.
I don't believe in multiple universes.
The other universes are on the other side of the black holes. A black hole pairs with a white hole, and that's theorized. But we haven't observed a white hole. So everyone's like, there's no such thing. But we are in a white hole. Every Big Bang is a singularity that only moves outward. So it, by definition, is a white hole. By definition. So I just think that people
each galaxy is the beginning of a future.
I genuinely think that humans are just being stupid. Like, they look at the white hole all around them, and they're like,
humans are little wave functions.
Our universe is expanding from a single point, and all the forces derive from a single force. But
we're just little bugs.
Humans operate like little wave functions, and we communicate just like entanglement. Okay, entanglement. I can just the way I
Some
see
of us
entanglement
do
is
that.
that
Some of us
there's a
are
common root structure inside the quantum realm. So that's why it's a communication that we don't see, and why it's not faster than light travel.
Hey,
And
hey,
people work
lady.
the same way.
I'm sorry.
Hey, lady. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, buddy.
You were saying? I didn't mean to interrupt you. I got excited by a question.
No, go for it.
Lady, do you think that Wildberry here and I'll see like the thing that I described before that you can't explain to somebody else? Do you think that Wildberry can see what you see and I can see what you see, and vice versa, but we just don't know how to explain it to each other?
Yeah.
I think I know how to explain it to you, and I
Do I
can send
think-
you a link.
Do I think that you have astral awareness? I do think that. You have 6 aspects, 1 in every dimension of existence, of the lower level, of the lower plane of existence, of the plane of Asiya. Yes, you have enough aspects for astral awareness. I do believe that we are interacting even non-physically right now.
Hey, look, I'm going to add a link right now, and I hope you all go to it and check it out. And you don't have to understand the math. Plug it into your AI.
It's probably not going to let you.
Plug it into your AI and ask
Oh, there it
questions. Okay.
It let you share it.
It won't let you click it, but you can copy that. I don't know how to copy. Got it.
Ask it questions, like it's gonna tell you this isn't proven, yada yada. Well, yeah, of course it's not. I just create it. But you have to say, hey, if this is proven, then what would that mean? Would that really be a theory of everything? How would that explain this? How would that explain that?
Is this your paper? This is yours?
This is my paper, yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, shoot. That's great, man.
Yeah. But look, the deeper understanding is that when you compare, when you start looking at human interaction in the same way that particle physics works.
Have you had your research peer reviewed by any chance?
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, man, I just put it out there in March, the addendum for paper. I sat basically in a chair for 6 months and
Are you
nerded out.
submitting it to any academic journal or anything?
I have one special person that's checking it out, but
I'd like to see what actual physicists and cosmologists think of it.
Yeah, see, there's a huge gauntlet
don't take this as an offensive. We're just trying, as an offense. We're just trying to verify like your credibility, because
that's not offensive
this is really
at all.
difficult. This is really valuable information, and probably only a few people on the planet can really understand everything.
Sure, but your AI can understand it quickly, and you can poke around in it that way, and maybe see what was this guy talking about. Because the world's never going to be, we're never going to have peace because everybody chose the same religion, and we're never going to have peace because all the parents in the world got together and said, all right, agreed, let's go, let's go raise our kids the same way with principles and stuff. But what if there actually is a universal principle that Jesus was trying to talk about, that every major religion was pointing at? We just didn't have the tools or the ability to understand it because they were people that were set up for farming and trading chickens. And I got that quote from Chris Hughes. If you look up Chris Hughes on TikTok, he's got a lot of good videos. Look up his I don't know, he talks about this, and I don't know which one it was, but he touches on it. He's like a psychology guy, but I think all of us are picking up on it. I think Lady Fire, you're picking up on it. I think Michael, you're picking up on it. I think you look at TikTok, and everybody's picking up on it. We're all talking about this exact same thing. It's there's a certain amount of material here, and it works a certain way, and this governs every possible question that you could ever ask. You know, if I'm right, because I can't just sit and say I have the answer,
that's
because
the
I
thing.
don't know. It has to be proven. But I did provide a mathematical, like you have to say in physics, you have to say, you don't say prove me right, you have to say prove me wrong. And so I created a roadmap. You know, here's, if you want to prove me wrong, here's what you have to do. You have to run it through this big ass gauntlet, you know. But if it's right, then the entire world needs to sit back and really think about what the hell, you know, because it puts a lot of pieces together. It, you know, if you understand anything in the paper, look at, it's just barely there, man. It's I think it's right underneath the picture somewhere, but there's it's a 7-step process. If you look at that process, okay, and then think about what is love, you know, what is ego, what is humility, you're going to find every answer that you could possibly ask, because you understand systems either align or they disalign. You have coherence or decoherence, good or evil, you know.
What
It's the
does
same
love have to do
description.
with like all that?
What?
What does love have to do with all of that?
Love is
Because love is a alignment, right?
Yeah.
Just like particles have to align.
No, they don't
love,
really have to align. I mean, it's chemical receptors in the brain that make you feel a certain way.
yeah, because
So you're
why?
equating love
This
with
this highlights it really highlights our inability it really highlights our limited human capacity, and really points the question towards what's beyond our limited human capacity. If this is proven by your peers, and you know this is, and it turns out to be the truth because we all agree on it, still, how do we know that we have the truth with our limited understanding? And won't we just ask more questions?
Well, science isn't, we know this is the truth. Science is, we haven't been able to disprove this.
What would you say is the summary of the claim of your work in this publication, or, you know, if you could summarize what the conclusion is?
Dream.
What do you mean?
This conclusion is, the conclusion is everything. That may not make sense until you poke around in it for a little bit.
That's
doesn't
fair.
make sense. That doesn't make sense because that's not how scientific publications work.
Well, we can talk about it, but you really won't understand unless you know.
That's why I said I would love to see what physicists and cosmologists and scientists think about it once, like, they peer review it.
Yeah, I may not be 100% correct, and I'm going by feel right now. Like, obviously, you know, you challenge
There's a
standard
general
model
chance
and
that
things
he's
like
a
that. You got a
physicist,
very
and
slight chance of being correct, but I can't.
he already sent up some polls there.
Challenge the standard model all the time.
I don't think that there's any holes left. I think that the answer was right under our noses. I mean, there's holes left because we don't know what is beyond what we can see in the universe, and we don't know what's beyond the quantum realm. Those are our two extremities. And we can only defer beyond that, okay? Because it's not possible to interact with whatever's beyond the quantum realm or what's beyond what we can see, but we can defer things, and that's where I've deferred that the quantum probability is to consciousness, as consciousness is to creation. We have the ability to create because we're conscious beings, You know, a rock's not going to create anything. A flower can create things.
Is creation distinct from like assembly?
I think creation, yeah, consciousness is assembly in such a way that it can perceive and make records to the environment.
I think I asked because I do have problems with the word creation. I'm not sure what each person means when they use it, but
What does it mean to you?
To
I think
create is what it means to me. It's just something.
No, what does it mean to apostate?
Yeah.
to create would be to make something from nothing, I think.
To make something from nothing. That's impossible.
That's a good definition.
I kind of agree that it's impossible. That's why I have issue with the word. But I don't think definitions are truth apt. So if someone has a different definition, I just would love to hear that.
I think create in the common sense is just to imagine something and then put it together. It doesn't matter if it's, what previously existent things. Like, if you create a castle out of Legos, you're using existing materials, but you're still creating.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I asked if creation was distinct from assembly. I think, yeah, you caught on exactly with what I was looking for. Yeah. Because the Lego pieces existed in both states. Mm-hmm. But if the castle is assembled, the castle didn't exist before it was assembled. So the castle was created from nothing. But that's kind of a category error because the nothing didn't exist, but the castle kind of brings us back to like a Platonic forms conversation of do castles exist? As opposed to like, does an individual castle stand in reality? But that's why I don't mean to get pedantic. I was just trying to get clarification on what was implied by creation.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, and the reason why I thought it was relevant to what you were showing here was because for consciousness to create, I just want clarification on what that means. Like what, maybe specifically, like is there an example of what consciousness can create?
Yeah, I created a theory of everything, and I built a porch today.
No, let me give you a better example. So, I once had a dream, and this is one dream. And for your knowledge, I'm always lucid, and I know that I'm dreaming, and I can wake myself up and everything. Like I am diversion, but I had one dream, and it spanned maybe something like 3 hours of real life. But in this dream, I lived for months, even years, as a member of an alien species. And there was 5 alien species, like 5 great races that came together to form this advanced society that conquered the whole galaxy and ruled the galaxy. And I experienced this whole story of like having a child with a woman and then going away on my job on a mission, and we went to some planet where there was seemingly nothing there, and we left, and then it turned out that there was fungus there, and we didn't understand the concept of fungus, and it infected everybody, and people turned into zombies, and I invented this whole reality, and we spoke other languages that aren't even possible to speak with human biology, and I invent and you want me to believe that I just invented all of this in the span of 3 hours?
Wait. I have to tell you.
Zelda.
I have to tell you. What she just said. Her having a dream of being an alien in the 5 races and that whole description. That sounds crazy and unbelievable. And I have never had a dream like that. That I was conscious of.
You've never had a dream like that?
But let me just say, I have had dreams of the future where when I wake up, I have no idea what they mean, and I thought I made them up. And then, like months or most commonly years, I will live the moment I dreamed.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people call that deja vu.
I do
to
that all the
kind of
time.
explain it away. And I think there's a word for it because a lot of people
Yeah.
have that same experience,
Hmm.
but they call it déjà vu, and it's
Yeah.
a unique experience. That's why we had to borrow the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone is remembering you're not separate from the universe. You never were, and you never could be separate. And I think it hints at the fact that you were here before you took your form, and you will be here after.
Yeah.
And as crazy as that sounds,
It's
uh,
crazy.
what else would you expect a theory of everything to do? You know,
Lady,
so
it's your testimony that gave me the courage to be able to share that because I've never told anyone that in my life.
You never told anyone that?
I've never told anyone that
Why?
because I
think
know
that's
how
great,
I
Michael.
know how crazy it sounds.
It doesn't
I know
sound
how
crazy.
absolutely crazy it sounds.
Michael,
So I don't tell
Michael.
anybody because I'm afraid of getting judged.
Michael, I sold some property and I was gonna fix up my house. This was like back October. It's like finally I have a little bit of money to fix up my house, and I sat for 6 months crazily and did absolutely nothing but work on this theory because 14 years ago I had a dream and I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw an equation in my head, and more like in between my mind and in the emptiness of space, and I could feel that I was inside of something. I could feel it buzzing around me and through me, and I woke up, and this wasn't even really a dream. It was more like an instant where I stood up, I sat up in bed, and with my eyes open, I was still seeing it, and then it went away. And I got up and I wrote the equation down, and it bugged me for 14 years, man. Like in my dream, I didn't dream that. I was just in that same instant. Like it was downloaded. I knew that was the key to a theory of everything, and that I couldn't do it now, but eventually I would, and I didn't know why or anything. And this
What do you
was
mean
the
by
most
everything?
profound experience of my life.
What do you mean by everything?
That's the most profound.
What do I mean by everything?
Yes.
A theory of everything? Just is that what you mean? Like, what is a theory of everything?
Yeah, like you keep saying theory of everything, but
You've never heard
Yeah, that's
that?
confusing.
You've never heard that
uh,
verbiage before? That's
there can't
common.
be a theory of everything because there are separate things that don't have anything to do with each other.
No.
Well, wouldn't it have to unite the natural constants? A
That
theory of
doesn't-
everything?
There's no such thing as things that have nothing to do with each other.
Well,
Everything
except for the
exists-
natural.
they exist in the same universe, but other than that, like
Yeah. And therefore, they have something to do with each other.
We are connected to
I
the
mean,
farthest
the
galaxy
most
for
basic,
sure.
but like in a sense, like there's things that how can I say, that don't really connect with each other.
They don't seem to connect. Yeah,
I actually agree.
understand
I agree with
theory.
that, but in a physics perspective, because things like gravity, the strong and weak nuclear forces, and the constant of the speed of light, those things, as far as I understand, don't have anything to do with each other. And that's why they're distinct. Well, they interact and produce reality, but the theory of everything, as far as
Explains all of that.
the phrase in physics, well, that's ideally, yeah. The phrase in physics is asking the question of how those things, what those things all answer to. Like, what is it that holds all of those things up? What unifies all those things?
Yeah.
Unless
The
you mean
question is,
something
what
else.
can-
It's an
no,
equation.
what can we put into the standard model that explains gravity, universal expansion, the speed of light, flat curve rotations, all of these anomalies? What is it? Well, all I did was plug in neutrinos with a light mediator and did the math, and it points toward, it's not proven, but it points toward explaining all of those anomalies.
I wrote a sticky note. I wrote a sticky note for myself, and it says, "Study neutrinos," because I am just listening to this, and I don't have much to contribute. I just don't know.
What do you mean by a light mediator?
Well, a light long range mediator, because there's already like a heavy Z mediator, right? And that can't be it. So it would have to be something that is long range and very, very
Something
likely
that's not
affected.
a photon,
What's that?
but something that's not a photon.
Yeah.
Isn't the medium? Are you talking about space-time being the medium, like the fabric of space-time? Isn't that the medium
Yes.
of light
Why
and
wouldn't
photons?
the mediator
The medium.
of light be a photon?
What's that?
Why wouldn't the mediator of light be a photon?
Well, that's identical to
Well,
light, isn't it?
what's the photon moving through? What is
It's the
what
wave on
relationship
space-time.
does it have that gives it a speed limit?
Yeah,
Why
that's
does
the
light
question.
have a speed limit?
Right.
Because of the cosmological constants.
So
It's defined as
means
one
that-
of them.
Yeah, so the universe is very flat, right? It's very evenly dispersed in photons and neutrinos, and I think together they kind of dance like the yin yang symbol, and that with that. But yeah, I think that the neutrino field is why that the current speed of light is what it is, and it'll eventually change, and it used to be different.
I wish I
But
could
with
challenge you
cosmic,
on
it's-
this. I wish I could. I'm going to learn. I'm going to try to challenge you. Come back again. And I'm going to try to challenge you on
I
that.
can follow him.
Yeah, I'm also pushing 4 hours on this, so I love you guys. Please come up again. Please follow me. I'm going to wrap.
Are you
I really
gonna
want to
go?
wrap. Yeah, I want to wrap. My dog's begging me for a walk.
Y'all
So
have a great night.
I really
It's so
thank
nice
you
to
very
meet
much.
you guys.
You've each
Barry,
contributed
please come
lovely.
back.
Yeah, please do.
Bye.
Each of you,
You
all
as
of you
well.
guys.
Thanks for hosting.
I'll follow
Thank you
you.
so
Thanks for
much.
hosting. It's been wonderful.
Oh, it's been so fun. This is so much fun. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.